everyone, welcome to GameFace, episode 194 on Sifted Games at sifted.net. You have come across the most informative gaming podcast in the world, and I'm Shane Satterfield. Alongside me, Matt Kyle.
Yep.
Confirm. Yeah, I can confirm. We are wrapping up 2019 today on the show. We have one more episode of GameFace to go before the end of the year. But that entire episode is taken up with our Game of the Year awards and our recap of the Game Awards. If you guys have been subscribers or patrons for the last couple of years, you know that that's generally how it goes. So we're going to wrap things up on this week's episode. Going to talk about some looking back at the year a little bit in games. We're going to talk about the PlayStation's 25th anniversary, which is really hard to believe. We do have one game to talk about today that was inspired by last week's episode. We're gonna have a great episode for you guys today. We have a couple things to wrap up. First of all, we're gonna have two different giveaways at the end of the show today. You have to stick around until after the trailer of the week, and we're gonna do the giveaway during our chat. So if you can, stick around for that. We also have two different fantasy leagues to wrap up today. One isn't going to be completely wrapped up, but one one wrapped up a while ago. The other one is our real fantasy football league that's been going on at Sifted. We'll give you guys an update on that. But the first thing is Matt and I's video game fantasy league. But before we get to that, I want to mention one note, and that is Patreon rewards. If you've been a patron throughout the entire year and you do not or have not received the rewards that you're supposed to get. So maybe you were a part of our sticker shock tier, which I think is $15 for a month or two, and now you're not. Or maybe you're a part of our Sifted t-shirt tier, and now you're not. The reward stuff on Patreon is terrible. It doesn't alert me when I need to send stuff out to people. I literally every month have to go through the list of hundreds of patrons and look at each one manually and figure out when did they subscribe, did they pledge enough to get. It's insane. So it is very likely that someone may or may not have slipped through the cracks with our Patreon rewards, and we want to get everything cleaned up before the end of the year. So if you're a patron and you have not received either one of those rewards that you're supposed to get at some point in time, reach out to us on Patreon. You can just send us a DM on Patreon and let us know, or you can DM me on Sifted at Shane. And we'll get those out to you right away. And I want to apologize if you have earned these rewards and you haven't got them. It's really impossible to make. I don't know how the Patreons with tens of thousands of people do it. I really don't. We have hundreds, and it's hard to manage because Patreon just doesn't provide the tools to do it. So again, if you're like, whoa, what's up? I never got this stuff. Just message us, and we'll get it out to you immediately. I've got a lot of stuff to wrap up in the next 10 days. It's going to be crazy. So send me those DMs. Now, let's get to our fantasy leagues. We're going to start off with the Video Game Fantasy League. We draft that every year in usually the first episode of the year, and we'll be doing that again here in about a month or so. And for those of you who maybe don't know how we do it or what we're doing, basically Matt and I take turns picking games. And we picked 10 games. This year we picked 10 games and 2 alternates. The first couple years we didn't have alternates. And if a game ended up being delayed out of the year, you just get a 0 for that game. And how it works is we go to Metacritic. We figure out what the Metacritic average was for each game. We add all those up. And whoever has the most points at the end of the year wins the league. And then this year we instituted 2 substitutes. So if 2 games were delayed out, you could swap those in with your alternates. And that still was not enough for me. Okay, Jared,
at least you're going to get the best pick next year, which is the most obvious first pick in the history of this league, I think.
For sure. Jared, bring up the results of the Sifted 2019 Video Game Fantasy League. So, let's see. Let's go through it. First of all, Matt, now that you're kind of looking at this, are there any games of these 22 that you look at and either the score is way higher than you thought, or it's way lower than you thought?
I mean, Anthem is much lower than I thought it would be. Rage 2 is a little lower than I thought it would be. I thought I'd be getting at least an 80 in there.
Me too, honestly. And based upon what I played, to me, it's higher than a 67, but...
And I still don't understand why Youngblood got dinged as hard as it did.
Yeah, it got beat up pretty good. I think that Fire Emblem score might be a little high.
What, 89?
89, yeah.
I like that game.
I liked it too. I played it for 60 hours, but that's a really, I think what strikes me the most, there is one game that scored a 90 or higher. Mm-hmm. One. And it was a remake of a game that's like 50 years
and it came out in January.
Yeah. I mean, that's what kind of hit me the most when I was kind of getting all this data and putting it into this.
I mean, honestly, the most shocking thing on that list is that Doom Eternal didn't come out.
Yeah. Or Animal Crossing, really.
If you recall, I was like, when you picked that.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Like, there's no evidence that supports that Animal Crossing won't come out, but Pokemon will. I mean,
because Pokemon is an anchor for that whole thing, and we knew that that's where they were. But they just hadn't been explicit enough about Animal Crossing.
Well, they hadn't really shown much of it.
No,
yeah.
like it just. And Animal Crossing, as we know, is something Nintendo will gladly bore you with for many, many, many minutes.
Yep.
So it just felt like we hadn't suffered enough for Animal Crossing to be coming out this year.
Yep, so I lost 3 games. I lost Animal Crossing Switch, I lost Doom Eternal, and I lost Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So I did not have 3 alternates to replace all my games. I only had 2.
I mean, it's crazy that Doom didn't make it.
It is. It's nuts. And the crazy part is that both Doom and Animal Crossing are coming out like at the beginning of the year next year. So they were close to done. I don't know why they were moved out, but it basically crushed me because I only had 2 alternates and I had 3 holes. So I only ended up having 9 games counting towards the total. Your only game that you missed was Dreams, which was the release date for that was just announced today. So you got a 0 there, but then you just swapped in Team Sonic Racing, which had a 72. So you got all 10 of yours for a grand total of 788 points. Now, you may not think that means much, but last year, Matt, you had 715. So you did far better this year compared to last year.
Imagine if Anthem had been good.
Right. My total ended up being 715, basically what you had last year. And I think maybe you were a game short last year.
Yeah, I think I lost a game.
And I have been every year. I've never had a full 10 games count in our fantasy league.
Because you won last year, right?
I did, yeah. But we both kind of limped across the finish line. So I finished with 715. Matt wins again. Once again, the champion of the SIFTD Video Game Fantasy League. That's what, 3 out of 4 for you, I think? Yep. I think that's right. And then we always do like an average to see whose games actually kind of had a higher average. Matt's average game scored a 78. My average game scored a 79, and it was like 1/100th of a percent to round up to 80 or whatever. So I beat you in the percentage, but that's not what matters. The total at the end of the season is what ultimately matters. So Matt is the winner. Congratulations, my friend. Another great job. I suck at this so bad. Like I am the worst at figuring out if a game is going to come out or not. Just am.
You got to start listening to me.
I guess.
I mean, we went around and around on Ori and the Will of the Wisp thing, and I'm just like, like no. And you're like, it's been 4 years. I'm like, I don't care how long it's been. That game's not coming out yet. Like, I mean, I was cheating a little bit because I ran into somebody who was working on it at a Christmas party.
That helps.
And I was like, oh, is it gonna be? It's like, oh, it's coming. I'm just like, oh, that's not coming out next year. That's not. No, we're not.
Hey, that's all fair, man. Your private intel that you have, I'm totally cool with that. You can use that to your advantage. I'm totally fine with it. So, congratulations once again, man. At least I've won once.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened last year.
Anything else? Bring that sheet back up real quick. Anything else that shocks you from this rundown of kind of the biggest games of 2019?
I mean, not really. I mean, part of me is a little shocked that, we left Fire Emblem that long. Because Fire Emblem does always go pretty well. I should stop trying to be creative with shit like Rage 2 and Dreams and just pick NBA 2K.
Yeah, I mean,
What did NBA 2K get this year?
It didn't. It scored like an 80 or something.
It's still better than 67.
Yeah, I mean, looking at our alternates even.
Yeah, the alternate. I thought Team Sonic Racing. I should have put Ace Combat 7 first.
I mean, my alternate scored better than one of my. Actually, scored better than a couple of my main games, and I thought that those were like, oh, so if I get a 70, I'm happy, and that's kind of what I ended up getting from those.
Yeah, I guess this was just the year that game critics got tired of the open world shooter.
It seems that way, for sure. Yeah, I mean, all of them. Like the Division 2, all of them ended up scoring like way lower than they normally do. Metro Exodus at 81. For some reason, I didn't remember it scoring that high, but it did.
Yeah, and Anthem,
Oh, what about Pokemon Sword and Shield at an 80?
Is that good or bad?
I mean, that's shockingly low.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the controversy around it and the Dexit, as they say, like it damaged it just because it was like, oh, it's not everything I ever wanted from a console Pokemon. I mean, it had more Pokemon in it than any other game ever did. It
I
had
am
400 damn Pokemon in it. What do you
I'm
want?
just about ready to finish it, actually. That's what I've been doing over the last week, is trying to finish up games for next week for our Game of the Year stuff.
I have all the badges, but I haven't gone further than that.
That's exactly where I am. I've finished all my badges. I'm ready to finish off the game. And then I'm also about to finish off Fallen Order, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So those are two games I have to get
I'll tell
done.
you what I did do is I went back and I got the Platinum finally in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I finished up the last couple of stupid human tricks they wanted me to do to get that last trophy. And I might New Game Plus that sucker now.
Uh-oh.
Ultra hard.
I mean, it's not like there's a whole lot coming out right now.
No.
It's really dry.
But it's also I look around at all the stuff I haven't finished or I haven't even played. But it's like, who has time?
Yeah. So there you go. Matt crowned the champ once again, much to my chagrin. Better luck to me next year, I guess. It's so funny because every time I've lost to you, I'm always like, next year I'm going to be really conservative. And I was this year. Like, this was me being conservative. Like, I thought these were just dyed in the wool, definitely coming out. No. 7 out of 10 only came out.
I was certain that Animal Crossing and Ori were bad picks.
Well, you definitely knew Ori was a bad pick.
But I hadn't, I would never, ever have called Doom not coming out this year.
That's probably the biggest shocker of the three. So anyway, there you go. Give Matt a round of applause. He is the champ.
So if Doom had come out and gotten like a 90, what would that have done?
I would have probably won.
You would have won that?
Yeah. I think if any of those 3 games would have come out, I probably would have won.
Mm-hmm.
It was that close. But
yeah, because 715 to 788, you only needed like a 70.
A 70-something, yeah. But that's the way it freaking goes. In fact, if those 3 games came out, I may have set a new record in our video game fantasy league. But they didn't, and I didn't. Okay, next we're going to talk about, and I'm going to do this briefly.
It's a combination of Doom and the shocker that I still won even with Anthem on my team.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're going to go to our real fantasy football league. I'm going to do this very quickly. I know you guys don't care that much about football. But look, we've had 12 people in this league from SIFTD all season long, battling it out, putting their time and their energy into it. And I want to make sure that I recognize those people. First of all, we're going to go to the standings. We already had our first round of playoff games this weekend. But I want to go to the standings to kind of show you guys how everything shook out. Let me increase the size of this a little bit. All right. So, the division on the West, I am LA Chowderhead. My fantasy football name is Chowderhead. It is a nickname that my friends gave me back in my teens, and I don't even use it anymore. Nobody calls me that, but I do use it in fantasy football. So miraculously, I ended up in first in the Western Conference. I was anywhere from second to fourth all season long. A bunch of stuff broke at the end of the season. I got a few wins. I ended up squeezing out Shanghai Honey, the Honey Badgers. He was first place all year. I literally took first place after the last game of the season. And then in the first round of the playoffs, which just happened, Shanghai Dan and Robert Diana played. In the other conference, MT USA Suicide King, if you're on SIFTD, you know him. He had a great season. Bentley's Blue Bombers. Bentley, you probably know him from the site as well. He works with us sometimes on kind of big events like E3 and Gamescom. He has a staff badge on the site. He was also in first place all season long. And in the last week, Suicide King came in and knocked him out down to second. So it was...
Yeah, he actually has the same record you do. Huh?
Yeah. But so how it works is the first in each conference gets a bye. So you don't have to play the first week of the playoffs at all. And then the second and third teams play each other in the first week. And then you play the winner of that game in the second week. So I didn't play this week at all. Neither did Suicide King. It was just these other 4 guys. So in the other one, it was Bentley versus the Reitlingen Jets. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. In the first week of the playoffs. So let's go and see how the playoffs shook out. The first round that just concluded last night with an insane Monday Night Football game. I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but it was nuts. Let's see. Let's go to the playoffs round 1. And it was Reitland Jets versus the Bentley Blue Bombers. Bentley won by less than 5 points. So that was a total barn burner. In the other conference, Robert Diana destroyed Shanghai Dan. And Dan had literally been in first place all season. I knock him out of first place after the last game of the season, and then he loses his first playoff game. So that is brutal, man. I'm really sorry for you, man. That's how fantasy football goes, unfortunately. It's all about that 1 week. So Bentley moves on. Robert Diana moves on. I should also add that our champion from last year, Matt Kyle Rocks, didn't even make the playoffs this year. He had a tough year. So now we'll look at week 2, so you can see who's playing who this week. And this is actually incorrect. It should be me playing the guy who beat Shanghai Dan. So, and then Suicide King should be playing against Bentley. And then the winner of that goes to the Bull. Let's have a look at the defending champ, how he did standings-wise, though. Yeah, Matt Kyle Rocks, our defending champ, ended up 5-8 and did not make the playoffs. So there you go. That's our regular fantasy playoffs. So if I win this week, I will go to the championship game for the 4th year in a row. It's the 4th year of the league. I will have gone to the championship game every year, and I have never won, which means I would be the equivalent of the Buffalo Bills. Do you remember that they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row at one point? Think about that.
In a row?
In a row.
Wow.
Think about that. How devastating. Anyway.
That's hard.
I'm right on the precipice.
I mean, you already live in Buffalo. Yeah. And, on top of that.
I'm right on the precipice of doing that in the Sifted Fantasy League. I could lose. I mean, I don't even think I'm going to win this week, to be honest, so it's probably not going to happen. But I could potentially lose the Sifted Bowl 4 years in a row. I think I would rather maybe just not go to the bowl because I don't think my team's good enough to win it. So anyway, we'll see. We'll probably update you guys on who ultimately won the league in the first week of January because this won't be settled until 2 weeks from now, and I'll be gone for the holidays. So good luck to everybody left. I honestly hope I don't win. I don't want to win the Sifted League, but I'm not going to, intentionally lose because that messes up the integrity of the league. But I hope somebody else wins. I don't need or want to win the Sifted Fantasy League. So good luck to everybody left. I hope you beat me. I hope I don't win, but I'm not going to let you win. All right, let's move on with the bulk of the show. New information. It seems like every week now we're getting new patents for PlayStation, Matt. Mm-hmm. This week it was not a controller patent itself, which we already got. This was a patent for a new feature for the DualShock 5 where you can essentially share playing the same single-player game with someone else. Xbox already has a feature like this. It's called Copilot, which is weird because it's had it for a while, but it was never a story. It's one of those things where they announced it and it's there. And to be fair, Microsoft kind of positioned it as an accessibility thing where they're like, hey, if you have this person who maybe is disabled and they can't, get through a certain part of the game, you can jump in and help them without them kind of being booted out of the game. Mm-hmm. And I do not know if Xbox Copilot does this or not, but one thing that I thought was kind of cool about what PlayStation is doing with the DualShock 5 is that people can do it remotely. So somebody could be on the other end of the country, and you can play games together. They can take over. I think Copilot does do that, though, actually. I believe it does. I don't think you have to be local. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that. But PlayStation is taking it an extra step in that it also has, and let me make sure I get the terminology correct for this. They are using an input aggregation server through the cloud in order to combine the inputs for remote play. But what that also does, it allows you to have other users be a part of your play experience. So I guess the way that it was described in the patent is people can vote on who gets to play next or who controls what in specific games. People are speculating that there may be games developed around this functionality by itself, meaning there's a game where there's one character, but the two of you are controlling it at the same time, and you have to kind of work in tandem, which could be kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of a smaller scale version of Twitch plays Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it, actually. What do you think about this stuff? Do you think this is not a big deal, and it's just like Xbox will be like, wait, that's right, I forgot that Xbox had that functionality?
I mean, it's a big deal if you need it. More accessibility is good, and obviously Xbox is kind of ahead of the game with their the accessibility controller and all the research they've done on that. In terms of building a game around it, maybe I don't know. I feel like Sony does have a history of sort of leaning into stuff like that, not for a disabled accessibility thing, but it kind of reminds me of Hidden Agenda. Where you do whatever I don't remember the name of it, where you log in with your phone. It's like the Jackbox thing where you log in with your phone.
Sony did have a name for it though. What was it called? Play something.
Play something. Yeah.
Play Mobile or something.
No, it was some weird name. But you logged in, everybody got to vote on what to do next in the game, and whoever had the most votes, they won. But it's again they made Hidden Agenda, and that was it. Playlink. That was
Playlink. Yeah, that's it.
But they made Hidden Agenda, and that was it.
No, they made a few more.
Did they?
Yeah, but they came in way under the radar.
I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, they made. I think all told, there was probably like 4 games.
Mm-hmm. Like the Jackbox stuff works really well. Hidden Agenda was not as compelling.
Yeah.
In part because of presentational issues. I think it was just not up to snuff.
Well, it seemed hacked together pretty quickly because we didn't see it. We got a trailer, and then like a week later, it was.
And like it made like Nickelodeon original programming seem like high class. It was. I mean, it was by the people that did Until Dawn, which I thought was way better in terms of. I mean, they had higher quality talent for that, but like.
Yeah.
I played like the first couple acts of Hidden Agenda with my girlfriend, and we were just like, let's stop. Let's not do this anymore. Yeah. Also, it's not as interesting with just 2 people.
You need more.
You need a bigger group.
But this could provide opportunities for asymmetrical type play. Sure. And here's the actual patent image that was submitted to the patent department from Sony. So you can see there, I don't know if I want to do that with a fighting game.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like people are, like one person controls movement, one person controls punching, one person controls kicking or something.
Maybe that would be kind of fun. I guess they're showing
I mean, if both teams have to do that, it could be fun just because you're on an even level of like lack of coordination.
Yeah, because they're showing there one person controlling movement, one controlling the actual attacks, and then the third person on the shoulder buttons.
Which I assume is either a different attacks or defense.
Right.
Like so.
I mean, I like that Sony is taking this different angle with it instead of just saying you guys can just play together.
Yeah.
Because when you see this in the patent, that means that Sony is thinking about it in a different way from what we're used to. Because you'd think the patent would just show like one kid sitting by himself, like with the confusion marks above his head, and then somebody else somewhere else with the like light bulb above his head, being like, "Oh, I've got it. I'll help you." So I like what Sony's doing with it. I do fear that this is one of those features that you'll get like 1 or 2 games that make use of it, and then you'll never see it again, other than for accessibility options.
It seems likely. I mean, like so many other PlayStation-related gadgets.
They're flashes in the pan.
Yeah, you played a lot of Eye of Destruction recently?
No. Eye of Judgment, you mean.
Eye of Judgment? I don't
that crazy card battle game that had like that PlayStation Eye camera. It was like augmented reality.
Yep.
Like you play your card and the flames would come up.
Yeah. I had all of them.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Because Sony sent me like all of it.
Yeah. They were not shy about saying, like, we got a full box of like 5 sets of them. Or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And
I still have it somewhere.
No one would play it with me.
Yeah. It's like, just play it on the screen. Like, do I really need... Some people like that analog tactile thing, but...
Yeah, I mean, they had a whole... You remember what was that magic book thing they had?
Oh, yeah.
They spent like 20 minutes at E3 on it.
Yeah.
It was like a Harry Potter thing, 2 other games or something.
That did come out.
That came out,
Yeah, eventually. So... So this looks like an added nice bonus feature that we may or may not ever actually experience, but it's not like a game breaker deal or a game changer or anything like that. But it is good to see that we're still seeing Sony or Microsoft think critically about their inputs, because I think, at least I assume that we were probably just, and I think with Xbox this probably is going to be the case, where we're probably going to get 99% the same controller that we just used in this generation. At least Sony seems to be making some changes. Hopefully all for the better. The sticks are a little shorter. It's a little beefier, the controller. But, and we still don't know what's up at the screen yet.
I'm just... How's the analog drift after a year? That's my main question, because that was a big problem on the PS4 for me.
Speaking of analog drift, so I was playing Pokemon on Sunday while I was watching football. And... there's the one badge at the end where, so the way Sword and Shield works is you don't just go in and fight the gym leader. There's this like trial you go through before you fight the gym leader. And one of the very last ones, like you have to fight 3 different trainers, and you wait for them to like walk up to you and then you fight them. And so I beat the one, and then you see the cinematic where the next one steps up to you. I put my Switch down. I went to get a drink in the kitchen. I came back, and he had walked on his own into the gym leader and started the battle. And I had not healed or revived any of my dead Pokemon, and I had to try to win that battle with, like, I still did because the game's really easy. But yeah, I mean, that was a case where the analog stick drift actually, like, had an impact on, like, my game. So, yeah. I haven't had a problem with sticks. PlayStation 3 I did, but not with PlayStation 4.
PS4 I went through at least 2 controllers. They lasted about a year. And I would only notice, like, I think the first time I noticed was... The Division, I think, was like my character kept popping out of cover, and I couldn't figure out why because I wasn't telling him to do that. And then I finally figured out like it was because it was drifting down and to the right, so it was basically pulling him away from cover.
Yeah.
And then a year later, I couldn't navigate the Destiny menus properly because when I'd push right, it would just go down right.
That happens to me on my Switch all the time. It'll just start scrolling up through the menus because it thinks the stick is like pointed upward.
Also, I mean, really, it's not even so much like analog drift so much as like put something in the OS that lets us recenter the sticks.
Yeah.
Like just let me, I felt like if I could zero the sticks,
it might be all right.
It might be all right for a little while longer, but instead I just had to go buy another controller. Now I haven't had that. My PS4 Pro controller is like 3 years old and is fine.
Yeah.
So
I never had any problems with PS4 controllers at all.
Yeah, that was
even my launch unit.
I didn't have much luck with controllers this year. That and my Time Bomb Xbox One Day
right.
One controller.
Yeah, that's right.
But the Elites,
literally a Time Bomb.
The Elites are great. The PS4 Pro controller is great. I don't use the Joy-Cons, so I wouldn't know. But the Pro controller for the Switch, no complaints other than the weird D-pad. But I don't really use it for that. So
yeah. Everything's kind of coming into shape for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I'm really, like, other than, like, the hard specs for it, and we're actually going to talk about Scarlett's hard specs here later on in the show because that stuff's kind of leaked out. But other than really hard specs, like, this is what it's going to be, that's, in the form factor, there's not much left.
No.
PlayStation VR 2, that's still...
Yeah, that could... I'm sure that'll be pretty similar to what we already have. The question is kind of like, will there be wires? What are you going to do with that? Hand tracking, that kind of thing.
Yeah. They kind of have to have that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of state of the art now. Like, once the Oculus Quest does it, I think you pretty much have to do it, too.
And that's coming, like, next week to Quest, I think, hand tracking? Yeah. So once that happens, like, you have an excuse.
I mean, I've used that at their Void thing, and it's actually really good.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
Individual fingers, no problem. Like, it shows exactly what your hands are doing. It's with no glove, no nothing. Just pretty impressive.
Yep. So that's the latest on PlayStation 5. We're going to keep you guys updated on every little bit of information that comes out about PS5 because we know that you guys care a lot. Everyone's going to have a real tough decision to make here in about 10 months where to plunk down their money. So we're going to give you guys as much ammo as we can to make sure you make the decision that's best for you. All right, let's move on. Like I said, specs leaking out for Scarlett. Leaks happen all the time. And a lot of times when we get leaks, we look at the source and then we decide whether it's worth sharing with our audience based upon the validity of the source. This comes from Windows Central. Windows Central is known for breaking Xbox stories.
Yeah.
It has done it for years and years and years. So whoever they have there is a very well-placed person who absolutely has access to what would otherwise be classified information.
And it also lines up with a lot of chatter I've heard from various dev friends.
Yeah.
Which are mostly complaining that they don't have it yet. But because as we saw in the previous story last week, not a lot of people have Scarlett dev kits yet.
Yeah, which is strange and not a good sign, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it depends. It's a bad sign for development. It could be a good sign for consumers if they end up, if they're like the specs are floating and they're trying to give people
trying to nail it down.
the most powerful machine that they can for the cost, which may be what's going on right now.
It does mean like we might want to keep an ear out for those launch titles in terms of like QA.
For sure.
Like who knows how rushed these things might have to be.
Yep. So Windows Central, great job sleuthing out this information. We're just going to run down basically what they've shared. So they're saying that there's going to be two versions, which has also been something that's been floating around. There's Anaconda, and then there's Lockhart. Anaconda is the beastly monster machine that I'm guessing the vast majority of our audience is probably going to buy. Although
it's going to be a lot.
I mean, it depends on the cost.
I mean, my guess is that thing is you're looking at $800 for that.
Ooh-wee.
I think the Anaconda is going to be if you want 4K 60, give us $800. That's my guess.
So it's 12 teraflops.
It's huge. I mean, you're buying a gaming PC at that point, basically.
For reference, the Xbox One X is 6 teraflops. So it's double the processing power.
But probably more like 4 or 5 times the performance.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the optimization and all that. It's a beast
monster.
It's a beast of a console.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy.
Also, for reference, Xbox One S is 1.4 terabytes. So, which is basically the base Xbox One, the launch Xbox One. Lockhart, which is going to be the cheaper version of the next Xbox.
My prediction is Lockhart is going to cost whatever the PS5 does, probably $500. Like my guess is Lockhart will be even with the competition, and Anaconda will be like Anaconda will basically be the elite.
I don't know. I mean, Windows Central is saying Lockhart's going to be 4 teraflops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a little more than double the base Xbox One, and it's like a third of Anaconda. I mean, it's exactly a third of Anaconda.
Yeah, I mean, they're leaning.
Do you think you can compete with the PlayStation 5 at 4 teraflops?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't know what the PS5 is really going to do.
We don't, but I would be really shocked if it's not at least 10 teraflops.
Maybe. I mean, that's a big question mark.
Yeah.
But Microsoft must think something's up. I mean, unless they're going hard in the paint here, and Anaconda is going to be even with the PS5 in price, and they're going to go cheap on the Lockhart for like $300-400.
I mean, we're saying right here, basically you're saying Lockhart is not as powerful as Xbox One X. Because Xbox One X is at 6 teraflops.
Yeah, but teraflops aren't everything.
No, you're right. I totally get that.
I think Lockhart will definitely outperform the X.
I would hope so. Because otherwise, why not just buy an old Xbox One X?
Well, because it won't necessarily run. The estimate that I saw was that the Lockhart is still going to be kind of double the performance of an X.
Okay, but that's Anaconda.
No.
Because the X is 6 teraflops, Anaconda is 12 teraflops.
Teraflops are not everything, and the components in this are going to be much faster hardware.
All around. Yeah, let's get to that, actually.
Just putting competent RAM in this thing is going to make it outperform the Xbox. The Xbox One's RAM is garbage.
It's terrible. It's bottom of the barrel RAM.
Because they wanted more RAM in it at launch to handle all the apps and all the set-top box stuff they want to do, so they put more slower RAM in it rather than using fast gaming-focused RAM, which is one reason that thing still, even though they've improved it, the OS in that thing still crawls.
Yeah.
So even today.
It's terrible. I hate it. So there are going to be 8, no matter which version you buy, there's going to be 8 CPU cores. Again, Windows Central is saying that Microsoft is targeting around 3.5 gigahertz, which that's good.
Yeah.
For a console, that's good.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, these days, you can't really judge a whole lot by gigahertz and teraflop. I mean, you got to be in the same architecture. You got to be using the same parts. Like, it doesn't all mean the same thing. And then you don't even get in the factor of, like, what does the OS do? Does the OS hurt it or help it? Like, it's like we don't know enough about any of that yet.
Well, to your point, again, from Windows Central, it says that because of the things that you mentioned, RAM, buses, things like that are upgrades that aren't sexy but actually make a difference in how something performs. They're saying that even though it's only double the teraflops, that Anaconda will be 4 to 5 times more powerful than Xbox One X.
Well, 4 to 5 times the performance,
right?
Is what they're talking.
Yeah, better. Yeah, 5 times better performance than Xbox One X. Yeah, which that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, leave all the gobbledygook numbers aside. Just building this new console out of parts built for gaming is going to make a huge difference in comparison to what
they're
the
optimized
Xbox
from the
One was.
beginning for it.
Yeah. The Xbox One was not built by people. I'm convinced was not built by people who were building a gaming console.
Yeah,
they were building basically a cable box.
Yeah,
that could also play video games.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it was, honestly. There will be at least 13 gigabytes of RAM for games, with 3 gigabytes on the OS for a total of 16 gigabytes. What matters there is what kind of RAM.
Right. As long as you got fast RAM.
As long as it's DDR5, I think it'll be okay. But they didn't do that with the Xbox One. So.
No, but again, I don't think this is in the hands of the people that did the Xbox One. The Xbox One was a terribly designed system from a hardware standpoint, just because it was not. It was almost the Saturn again, where Sega just did not design that system to do what was obviously going to be the next generation.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to that too when we get to the PlayStation 25th anniversary thing later, but Sega built in the wrong direction and had to kind of course correct in the middle of putting that system together. And Microsoft did a very similar thing where they thought this was going to go a certain way, and it really didn't. And they learned that early because their DRM plan backlash.
Oh, did it ever?
So I think I am pretty convinced that the Scarlett is being built by very different people than who built the Xbox One.
More details. The Microsoft's proprietary NVMe SSD tech will be in both consoles. So Just like PlayStation 5, it's going to have an SSD hard drive.
This is going to be a big difference between the two SKUs, I think, is the size of the SSD.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because SSD drives are spendy still.
Yeah, they're still, even with like the amount of like, discount you're going to get by bulk buying these parts and like mass producing these systems, the SSD is not going to have that much of a
You're not
break.
going to get much of a break, no matter how many you buy.
And it won't matter that much because I'm sure you'll still be able to do the external hard drive thing. But having that fast access is going to matter.
Oh, huge. It may be the thing people notice the most about Generation 9 is like the load time.
I mean, it's certainly
like
what Sony's showing off.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
that's the first thing it showed.
Look how Spider-Man doesn't have any load time anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, the instant access is going to be a big bullet point for both of them, I think.
For sure. Project xCloud, which is Microsoft's game streaming service that it's been working on now for a couple years, and it's in beta right now. It is going to be installed across all Xbox systems. So you already have the hardware that we've talked about, but you can use xCloud for sort of extra headroom if you need to, in addition to what it just does to stream games. It's also going to be like a computing cloud that should give the platform more headroom, which is great.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. We've heard the cloud story before.
Yeah, Crackdown 3.
Yeah, could only be done in the cloud.
Yeah, remember that? Which may have ended up being true because it ended up being a piece of junk.
Whatever was being done in the cloud was apparently pretty important, I guess.
It was, yeah. Ray tracing for dynamic reflections and stuff like that will most probably be exclusive to just Lockhart and Anaconda. And even without an update, all Xbox One games will run equal or better on Scarlett and will load faster. So without an update. So all that backwards compatible stuff that's already working on Xbox One is just going to work.
It's going to move forward.
When you get on Scarlett. That's huge. So they're not going to have to redo all that work that they did to get that stuff. It's huge. You feel more positive or less positive about Scarlett after hearing this stuff, Matt?
I mean, like a little bit of both, I'd say. Like, I'm more positive in the sense that, like, clearly the power is going to be where it needs to be.
Instead of Xbox One, where it was underpowered.
But a little more negative because it's going to hurt the wallet. And I still feel like even with Halo Infinite at launch, it's going to be hard to look at PlayStation's output this generation and Xbox's output this generation and look at those two systems and pick the Xbox.
It is. Because with the Xbox, you're going to be placing your bet on promise. Because most people won't know.
It's promise versus reputation at this point.
And a lot of people won't even know the promise that's there for Xbox because the average consumer is not like us. They don't know that Microsoft just bought a bunch of studios.
They don't know that pipeline is pretty well packed right now. We're probably going to get some really good stuff moving down the line. But they do know that they want to play Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And now there's chatter that like Spider-Man 2 is further along than we think.
Yeah.
It might be
a launch
next
game,
year.
maybe?
It might be a launch game. Might be launch window. Like that's huge.
That would be huge.
That's being able to show that off on the new hardware.
I mean, it is kind of funny that
versus another Halo or Forza or like it's just a more exciting idea.
I mean, it's also funny when you think about it. The first demo they showed for
Spider-Man.
PlayStation 5 was Spider-Man, so it's kind of adding up.
Makes sense.
And look,
I mean, obviously we don't know everything that's going to launch with the Xbox. I have a very hard time thinking Microsoft's going to pull anything out that's going to make me more interested in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, that's just me. That's me personally.
But
as a Sucker Punch fan and a Samurai fan, like, I'm very excited for that game. Like, you're not going to pull me away from that with another Halo. I'm sorry. Like, it's just. I think it's going to be. I think the odds are tilted very heavily in Sony's favor right now.
I would agree. I think it's going to take a big mistake. On Sony's part for Microsoft to have
not impossible.
It's not. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again. So
and it looks like they are coming back to E3 because they have not canceled their press conference, which they had by this point last year.
Yep.
So
they have to. If you're going to launch a platform, you can't skip E3.
I mean, you have to at least like show up and get on the internet that day, right? I mean, it's like even if you don't put a booth at E3, you got to do your presentation.
You got to. Yeah. And I mean, you need a booth too. Let's be honest. I mean, they're opening up E3 to even more consumers this year, so you got to be there. Like you have to let people get their hands on it. The people who are willing to spend a couple grand to go to E3, you need to reach those people because they're like us. They're the people who go back to their hometown or whatever, And all their friends who like to play games talk to them about games, and they tell them what to buy. So
I guess Microsoft better just hope they decide to cross the street at some point.
it's true. Like, you need to feed the evangelists so that they have ammunition to share when they go back to wherever they're from to spread the word about your product. So I think both of them will be at E3 and on the show floor.
Hopefully they can afford a new gen console after spending all the money it's going to cost to go to E3.
What do you think's going to happen if you're right and the Anaconda costs like up to $800?
I don't know. I mean,
that's uncharted waters. No one's ever sold a con. Well,
the 3DO
wait, 3DO. Yeah, that's right.
we all know how that ended.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think obviously you can trust the Xbox a little more than you can trust the 3DO.
Yeah, for sure.
3DO had a really good version of Super Street Fighter Turbo, but come on.
And Dragon's Lair.
A Dragon's Lair.
All the Laserdisc
best version
stuff.
of the first Need for Speed.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Not worth $800.
No.
I'll tell you, it's definitely not worth that.
I had a roommate my sophomore year of college who had one. And when he moved in, he like brought it in, and I was like, "Can I play that?" Like, because I'm like,
Don't touch it.
Otherwise, I'm never gonna touch. He's like, "Yeah, whatever you want." I remember he came home one night, and I was like halfway through. God, I can't. It was like one of those FMV games. It was a martial arts thing. It was
I don't know.
First person martial. It was like Shadow Warrior or Supreme Warrior or something like that.
I don't remember it.
And I was like halfway through it, and he's like, "Oh my God, how did you do that? How did I do what?" He's like, "I've never gotten anywhere through. I haven't gotten like past the first guy in this game. I don't know." I'm like, "I don't know.
I just played it."
And so yeah, we played. Yeah, something. I think it was Supreme Warrior was the name. Look up a YouTube. You can look at YouTube play through that and just see what we had to work with back in the day.
Yeah, I just remember like Dragon's Lair, Space Ace.
Yeah, well, anything that used like high capacity, high storage discs at the time, like it went right on the system.
Yeah.
But it was. Yeah, I think this is going to be a better buy than the 3DO was at launch.
Probably so.
But still,
that's a big ask.
It is a big ask. And it just depends how hard they're willing to go and what kind of like discount they're getting on some of them. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe they are going to get in bulk discounts to the point they could sell the Anaconda for the same money as the PS5. Maybe the PS5. Yeah, I still my $500 price point for the PS5 is pretty much still based on the idea that Sony is never going to sell anything for $599 ever again.
Because otherwise, you would say like probably should sell it for that much.
Yeah, I mean that would probably be feels like a more natural price point for what we're going to get. What we've been hinted that we're going to get, but like I just feel like Sony's never going to touch that price again.
No, I agree.
Because of the meme potential.
Yeah.
And the obvious, you don't want
plus
to sell.
It's still $600.
Or maybe you just sell it for $600 and don't do $599.
Right.
But like I'm guessing they're going to be two $500 systems, and one of Xbox's is either going to be less or more.
Yeah.
I don't know which way they're going with this, but
I think $800 would just be death. Even if like you look side by side and you could blatantly see that games running on the Anaconda looked better than PlayStation 5, I just think it won't matter. I just can't see anything more than like the niche core of the core spending that much money for a console. And then I feel like those people would probably just spend a little bit extra and just build a PC. I don't know. I've struggled to find the market for an $800 console, no matter how powerful it is.
Yep.
It's tough.
Although, really, I mean, if you can make it functional on the level of like an $800 video card, especially with the ray tracing,
that's true.
Like, it's still a better deal-ish. But then you have the justification that PC can do other things.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's it was not Way of the Warrior. That was a very different game. That was a normal fighting game. I'm talking about it's a first-person FMV game.
I don't remember
Supreme
it at all.
Warrior. I think it's called Supreme Warrior.
Interesting.
It was first person. It was like a Dragon's Lair react to the video thing. Way of the Warrior was very different. It was like a Mortal Kombat ripoff. This was a first person Dragon's Lair martial arts game.
So
it was bad.
So based upon these specs, you're saying, one, the price is going to be really high, but two, you still struggle to figure out how it will compete with PlayStation 5.
I mean, I'm sure I will have both of them eventually.
Well, yeah, we will. We have
to.
But
like, if I was only going to get one, I don't know what Microsoft could do to convince me to make it that one.
I know.
You know, because like,
it has to show a lot of software over the next 10 or 11 months. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And you can tempt me with some stuff, but like, it's basically, I am getting a PS5.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
To play Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean,
and everything else that
I'm
comes
just getting a
after
PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying because of one game or whatever. Like, I'm just getting one.
Yeah, like I'm definitely getting one, and Ghost of Tsushima at launch is probably the thing that's going to make it guaranteed. I'm getting a PS5 at launch. Will I get an Xbox at launch? we'll see.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I'll get both, but
I mean, chances are
most people can't do that.
Most people can't do that, but also like if I was just gonna pick, if I did get both, it would be because I feel an obligation to talk about both on this show, and not because I would want to do it independently of that.
Right. If you were just a consumer.
If I was just a consumer, I would just probably get the PS5 and then wait and see if the Xbox became worth it later.
Yeah. Yep. So Microsoft has a lot to prove here over the next 10 or 11 months. In a lot of ways, this entire generation has really hurt Microsoft.
I can still play a lot of that stuff on my PC.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Like it's just becoming less. I mean, it feels more and more like the Xbox is going to exist for people who insist that a console should be a thing.
It's just kind of a brand at this point.
Pretty much. And I still maintain that Microsoft doesn't care very much if you buy an Xbox or not.
I don't think it does.
They only
either.
care if you're in their ecosystem.
Yep, I agree. And all that does not bode well if you're competing with PlayStation, because PlayStation does care.
The big thing I think they can do
platforms.
is they need to message out, and they need to make very clear, and they need to make very robust the Game Pass support at launch.
Yep.
And because that's the thing that could sway someone, especially with a limited budget, is like,
you
okay,
have 500 free games on day one.
Yeah, day one, it comes with 3 months of Game Pass. That gives you this many games you can play, all these games that work on this from the Xbox One, all these games at launch that are there day one. You don't have to spend any more money to play the hottest cutting-edge launch games. Whereas at PlayStation 5, you're going to have to buy a bunch of other games. So that could kind of make up the difference there. But I don't know. It's going to be real interesting. Like it's not going to be a boring launch, that's for sure.
Oh, it's going to be really exciting.
I think both of them are going to have to fight tooth and nail on this one, and
which is good.
Which is good for us. It's good for the consumer.
Absolutely. So there you go. That's the latest on Xbox Scarlett. When we get more, we'll obviously share it with you guys. Again, just like with PlayStation 5, we want to make sure that you guys are as informed as possible so you can make this tough decision in 10 months or however long. It's probably going to be about 10 months from now. You're going to kind of have to decide. You're going to have to put your pre-order down.
It's probably going to be like June.
Yeah.
When the pre-orders go up and you got to get them in.
Do you think they'll put pre-orders up at
E3? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Kind of have to, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And strike while the iron's hot.
I'm probably going to have to do it on my phone while we're live.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Otherwise you may not
disappear.
get it. Yeah. Although it's not like it used to be.
No, but the best way to get it is still probably Amazon.
Yep.
At least if you have Prime. I'm certainly.
And then you may get lucky, and they may accidentally ship it to you early.
Right.
Amazon does that all the time.
I certainly have no intention of waiting in a physical line anywhere.
I don't think they'll even exist, to be honest with you.
You'll have to line up at like Best Buy to pick it up at midnight or whatever with your pre-order. But it's just I'd rather just wait.
It's just like with Black Friday, like all that stuff's just kind of going away now.
Yeah.
Waiting in lines, camping in front of a store.
Because why would you?
I mean, it's kind of absurd when you think about it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that stuff's going away. I would just want people to be able to get it as easily and painlessly as possible. And I think the way retail's headed now, that shouldn't be an issue. All right, so there you go. That's Xbox Scarlett, the latest on Scarlett anyway. We were talking just a minute ago about how we didn't think Microsoft cared if people moved over to PC as long as they stayed in the ecosystem. And then I kind of said very quickly, we don't see that with PlayStation, but we're starting to. Today, a couple announcements leaked out. Sony State of Play was this morning. We have a whole other topic. We're going to go through all the announcements that were in the State of Play. That's for later on in the show. But there were a couple things that have been announced over the last couple days or leaked out that have kind of changed, at least to me, have changed how I look at PlayStation's perspective on multi-platform stuff. I think cross-play, Sony dragged its feet, finally went in, and now we're starting to see Sony also kind of adopt some of the other policies that Microsoft, in all honesty, and even Nintendo at this point is starting to look at, which is we have these exclusive games that we used to use to get people to buy our platforms, but now we're starting to think that maybe we can start letting some of those exclusives get out to other platforms. We'll keep a timed exclusive, but maybe it's smarter in the long run to get these brands out on these other platforms so that people find them, they like them, they play them, and then maybe they buy the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 6 or whatever. They're still buying your game.
Maybe. I'm not convinced that's the thinking here.
Okay, well, first of all, let me finish explaining what's going on. So today, it was announced that MLB The Show, which is PlayStation's, this is built by PlayStation.
Has been forever. Has been the only baseball game in town for
5 years,
many years.
6 years?
Several years.
Yeah, because do they have the exclusive? No, they don't.
Just no one else.
wants to bother. There's RBI Baseball, which is made by MLB.
Yeah.
MLB has a development studio. Isn't that weird?
No one else will do it.
No one else will do it. So anyway, if you're on Xbox, all you've had to play is RBI Baseball for years and years, and it's not great.
Or some of the cartoony they're not licensed. They're
Right.
They're not the real teams.
RBI is licensed though.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
there's other
arcadey.
like there's arcadey other baseball games where they're just not the real
Yeah.
teams.
But that's all
And
changing.
most of them are better than RBI baseball.
Yeah. That's all changing. So after next year, after 2020, beginning in 2021, MLB The Show is going to be a multi-platform franchise. It's going to PC is a given, I think.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like Xbox.
Xbox and Nintendo's accounts both tweeted in response to it and put like baseball icons and stuff
Yeah.
up. So it sounds like it's coming to everything.
Which it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Like,
You're the only game in town.
I can't imagine too many people are buying PS4s specifically for the show.
No, it's just a value add.
You might as, I mean, and like baseball is on the wane. You know, I mean, it's my favorite sport probably to watch. And like, if I'm going to watch a sport, certainly to go to in person. I played it when I was younger. My dad loved it. I mean, I like baseball quite a bit. Baseball movies are great. Baseball movies
They are for some
way
reason.
better than actual baseball. Like I'm totally like on board with Field of Dreams, like, you know, extolling of baseball, and I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
But I believe it when James Earl Jones says it. And like, it's I mean, there's no reason not to spread it around, especially in terms of like what's good for the MLB. I imagine they were maybe the ones who suggested this just to give everyone else a chance to play this thing, because the show is a really good game. It's the only sports franchise I buy regularly. Road to the Show is a great mode. They do a great job every year, and they don't get a lot of credit for it. And if you want to spread that love around, I don't see any problem with that. It's like you're not losing any PlayStation hardware sales by putting the show on anything else.
No, not one.
No.
I mean, there may be
like there's maybe like 5 dudes somewhere, and like
somebody will probably put it.
I mean,
I saw
some people on Twitter. I even sent you like something of people like PlayStation nuts like screaming about how it's horrible and terrible and it's unfair, and it's just like, who cares?
Who cares?
If you're not a major shareholder in Sony, go away. Like, no. Like, it's just pure console wars bullshit.
Yep. So the show didn't surprise me. Like you, it doesn't surprise me. It's smart. Sony will just sell more copies. Maybe it gets people to buy the next play. It doesn't matter. They'll sell more of the game.
You can maybe put certain things in the PlayStation version that are exclusive and like a little more incentive.
Or just time it. So it has like a few months.
The little home team advantage going on. But like in general, like, spread that around.
For sure.
Let more people play that game. I'm a favor of that.
So that didn't surprise me that much. What has surprised me, though, is that today rumors are swirling that Horizon Zero Dawn.
I've heard these rumors for a while, like a couple weeks now. Maybe, like, it's possible, but here's the thing. I don't think this is a shift in Sony's exclusive policy. I think this is because Kojima's team got this engine running on the PC.
You think?
Because this is the same engine as Death
It
Stranding.
is, yeah.
So I think they're like, oh, well, we could just do
Start
a PC
porting the
version of
stuff
this
over,
and get some extra money. It's 3 years since the game came out. Screw it. Like, as long as maybe it's easy to do, or maybe they had 50 or 70 Guerrilla Games people working on Death Stranding, and maybe they're like, hey, we could do this with Horizon, no problem.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just free money.
It is free
at
money.
this point. It's not, Horizon is not a system seller anymore 3 years later.
Yep.
And if it works, like, it could become a thing where, like, you wait a few years, you get a PS exclusive on PC if they have the engine running on it. That'd be great.
Do you think it may get to a place where you're only waiting a few months for it to go to PC, though?
Not impossible, but I would find that surprising. It doesn't really do them any favors. Even for Death Stranding, they're waiting till next summer.
It ends up being about 9 months, I guess.
Yeah, so maybe like Horizon 2, maybe you do a thing where like when the DLC comes out for Horizon 2, the vanilla game hits PC like 9 months later or something. That wouldn't be outrageous.
What's the limit for you? How quickly are you okay with Death Stranding coming out 9 months later on another platform?
I mean, if someone else wants to do that to themselves, they're welcome to. I mean,
PC's
also,
one thing.
I don't think Death Stranding is a system seller.
It's not.
So, like, I mean, the question becomes, I mean, and I don't think Horizon is either. I mean, I love Horizon. It's one of my favorite games of the decade.
It's a value add.
It's nice. It's a nice to have for most people. Like, if I see them put God of War 2 on PC 9 months after it comes out, then I got the exclamation point over my head.
Horizon 2 might be a system seller, though.
Could be, especially if it looks like Death Stranding. I mean, Death Stranding, I think, did a lot of work refining this engine, and I'm very interested to see what a sequel looks like with kind of the tech lessons that they learned from that project.
But I'm just saying, now people know what it is. They know that it won Game of the Year. People are actually going to be looking for it and anticipating the next one.
I mean, I would I don't think we'll ever see these things coming out day and date with PC.
Yeah.
Sony will hold these for themselves. But
do you think 9 months is okay though? Like with Death Stranding?
Yeah, I mean 9 months is sort of it's also when things are starting to drop in price. Like, it's kind of you want to pay full price for a PC version, or you want to pay like $40 for the console version. It kind of works itself out.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
The important thing is I'm not still convinced that this is some kind of company-wide policy or anything, because I think it might just be the convenience of the engine now working on a different platform and like, hey, free money. Sort of. But like the question, I mean, the idea of this being the advent of something would be nice in the sense that it means you would not end up with another Bloodborne situation or another Demon's Souls situation where you get this very popular game that like just no one else can play. I know that's the point of an exclusive, but again, and certainly Bloodborne did sell some systems, I know anecdotally, from like 5 or 6 people I know bought a PlayStation 4 to play Bloodborne. So that worked.
Yeah.
At least a couple of times.
Yeah.
At least that's 4 times.
I mean, From's games will do it.
It's way more people than bought it for
way
more people I know bought a PS4 for Bloodborne than they bought it for the show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt about that.
So I think this is probably more of a tech convenience that's happened here. But like, if it does sell well on PC, who knows what Sony?
Yeah. Then what happens?
Response. Like, if they realize that this is a revenue stream that's helpful for them and hasn't hurt their hardware business, like, who knows?
Think about Death Stranding coming out for PC just a couple months before PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I mean, if that goes up on PC and it does gangbusters, I mean, maybe they reevaluate kind of their stance for the whole PlayStation 5 generation. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're right. They're like, you know what, Death Stranding's probably not going to move consoles. We've sold all the consoles anyway at this point. Yeah. No skin off of our nose.
Best Buy doesn't seem to be able to get rid of the Death Stranding consoles.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they're discounting them in hardcore. If they weren't so ugly...
I mean, that's been a problem for all the special edition PS4s, I think.
They have.
I think they're all ugly.
Yeah, there's really not one that really...
has nothing to do with Death Stranding. I just don't... I haven't liked a single one, except I kind of like the Spider-Man one, but it's just the spider logo on a blinding red system, and I don't want that staring at me all day. But
yeah, I mean, the Death Stranding one's awful. It's just got, like, the weird footprint on it.
Handprints.
Yeah, handprints. Yeah. No thanks. But, yeah.
Put a giant baby face on it.
I'm just glad to see the platform holders looking at things this way finally, actually considering getting their games out to different places. I mean, 10 years ago, this wouldn't even be a consideration. If we had talked to...
Oh, Sony exclusives, never.
I mean, imagine talking to, like, Reggie about this, like, 5 or 6 years ago, or any of the various heads of PlayStation that have been... They'd all say, are you kidding me? Hell no, we invest so much money in this. Like... But the times they are changing. Like, everything's just kind of opening up. That's just kind of the way, not just with games, but with everything. Mm-hmm. So
this is kind of also, I feel, especially with PC, there's an element of, like, if they haven't jumped over to consoles yet, they ain't gonna.
They're hardcore PC gamers,
But, like, at the very least, it means that my few PC snob friends can stop being dicks about not playing Horizon. And it's like, well, maybe I'll play it one day if they ever put it on PC. Oh, now they put it on PC, smart ass.
Yeah,
so now you can play this really great game that for some reason you refuse to let yourself play because it's not on your master race console thing. Like, it's like bizarre. I mean, I know a couple of them I know they can afford a PS4. They just refuse to play console games because for a reason.
For reasons.
So
anyway, there you go. Big news. And it's good to see PlayStation, even though it's dragged its feet through all this stuff, it's always the last one to do it. At least it is figuring the stuff out. And it is starting to change a little bit, which is always tough when you're an American company with a Japanese parent company. It's hard to...
It's taken a while for Sony to join the reindeer games. But
yep, it's getting there, which is a lot better than we could say even 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I bet, I mean... Also a lot better than you can say about their film division. So
absolutely. It's in deep trouble. All right.
Sony's learning some stuff over here in the computer entertainment world.
All right, let's move on. We're going to preview the Game Awards for you guys. When we originally set up this topic, look, I'm friends with Jeff. I want to help his show do well. So we're going to talk about the Game Awards. We're going to preview them. And that was kind of the idea behind this topic at first.
And you've never seen us preview this version of the Game Awards, which makes this a world premiere.
Yeah, and look, Matt and I, we are still going to go through some categories here and try to pick the winners of a few of the categories, just try to guess which one we think will win.
Death Stranding.
Again, not tipping our hand as to what our picks are, but trying to guess what 50 or 60 game journalists are going to pick.
I still think this is going to pretty much be the Death Stranding show.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. But we'll go through.
Hell, even if it doesn't win anything, it's going to be the Death Stranding
We'll
show.
go through a few of the awards, but basically what happened right before we went to air, or before the stream went up, a leak happened. And it's purporting to say that it has pretty much all the details from the Game Awards. As we always tell you guys with these leaks, take them with a huge grain of salt. This one in particular, because this is just like random internet dude is like, I know all this stuff and you can believe it if you want, but, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. What lends credence to this flurry of leaks is that most of them, all of them pretty much seem plausible, except for maybe one. A few of them we've already heard rumblings about, which, look, he could have engineered this because of the rumblings that we've heard. If he used the SIFTD, he would have known about some of this stuff that was at least kind of bubbling up. But anyway, just for fun, we're going to share what was leaked that's supposed to be coming to the Game Awards. And I hope like a lot of this isn't true. Like, because that hurts Jeff, all this stuff coming out. Mm-hmm. But look, I'm friends with...
On the other hand, it's a pretty solid list.
It is. And it probably would get people to tune in.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I certainly wouldn't not watch just because I know about it, because I want to see this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's the advantage you have, is like, even if you tell me this is going to be on the Game Awards, I'm like, cool, I can't wait to see it. Like, who cares if you tell me about it?
Yeah. And so, look, I'm friends with Jeff, and I don't want to ruin his show or lessen the viewers to his show, but I'm also not going to neglect my duties editorially and to inform our audience on stuff that's happening. I'm just not. So... here we go. This stuff is pretty crazy, people. Some of you guys may have seen this already.
I should also note that I don't really believe this list.
You don't either?
Not really.
Yeah. I'm probably about 50.
It leaves out a couple of two important things, and yeah, it's
and one thing in it, to me, I don't believe at all.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just going to run through these really quickly.
Two things in it I don't believe at all.
Okay. First, Batman Arkham Legacy.
I think that is a given.
Will be revealed.
Definitely going to be there.
And scheduled for holidays 2020.
Sounds about right, although I wouldn't be... Yeah, probably next gen, yeah.
Which means it would be like a launch game for PS5 and Xbox Scarlett.
I think it'll come out on everything, but yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they teased it like months ago on Twitter. Like, it's just about damn time. About damn time. It's been half a decade since Rocksteady put a game out. But
is this Rocksteady's
it's not Rocksteady.
Game?
It's
I was like, wait a minute.
Rocksteady's doing Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
Yeah.
This is Montreal.
Yeah. It's a new studio?
No, they've been doing stuff for years and years. They did the Shadow of War stuff, the Shadow of Mordor stuff, and they did Arkham Origins.
Yep. So
they were doing Suicide Squad, but then didn't.
Another big-time franchise handed off to new developers, which doesn't happen a ton, but it seems like lately...
Well, in this case, I think Rocksteady was just tired of doing
they just get tired of doing it. I mean, no matter how much you love something... dedicate like 12 years straight to it.
Also, after Arkham Knight, I am happy to give this to somebody else because I did not like that game very much.
You didn't like the direction the game went. So, yeah, I can understand that. Let's see. What's next? Here's a goofy one, but maybe it's a red herring to make people believe the list. Crash Bash is being remade and scheduled in a very specific date for June 19th, 2020.
I mean, that feels maybe a bridge too far in the Crash remake world there, but okay.
I mean, what's left, really? Because they remade the first three already with the Insane Trilogy.
I feel like I would prefer maybe, like, I don't know, the rumor about a new Crash game.
We talked about that last week, yeah. But maybe this is where that rumor of the new Crash game was coming from.
Could be. I feel like you're... going from like the trilogy remaster to Crash Team Racing remaster to Crash Bash, like you're definitely on the downhill slope at that point.
Yeah, I think, but that's all there is. So I think they're like, even if we sell a third of this that we did of the Insane Trilogy, like we're cool.
Yeah, but it just feels like something you'd want to like maybe pack in as an extra in the Insane Trilogy and not try to sell it on its own. That feels like a stretch, but hey, what do I know?
Or just sell it as DLC for the Insane Trilogy,
like, I don't
something
know.
like that. Yep. I'm right there with you. It doesn't make much sense to me, other than the fact that Insane Trilogy sold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
crazy.
It's not real. I'm just saying, okay,
whatever. Yep. Okay, next up, and this one ended up being revealed today. It's Resident Evil 3 Remake revealed, and in this note it says the release date is unknown. But in the trailer today, if Jared will flip to it. It gives the release date.
Right.
So does that lend credence to this list that it's like release date unknown?
I don't know. I mean, you're this late in the game, you're probably theoretically would be looking at someone who worked on the post production for this, which means they would have seen these trailers or this footage, and like if they put the release date at the end of the Sony trailer, then they would put the release date at the end of the Game Awards trailer. So that's kind of a strike against this, I think.
Well, I mean, all this person would need to see is a rundown of the show.
Sorta.
And
like,
then
why are there release dates for like Crash Bash on that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. A specific date for Crash Bash, like the day. Also revealed today for the Resident Evil 3 remake is that Project Resistance, which is that Resident Evil-themed asymmetrical multiplayer shooter we've talked about a couple times on the show, is actually the multiplayer mode for the Resident Evil 3 remake. Mm-hmm. So it is going to have the campaign and then have a pretty extensive multiplayer mode. That should elevate it up above the RE2 remake that we got this year.
Yeah. Also interesting that supposed leak doesn't mention that.
Right, Project Resistance is...
Because that would be something you would probably want to point out.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clever of Capcom.
I think that's the right move.
It is.
It certainly means I will eventually
I'll try
play
it, yeah.
which I would not if they were selling that on its own. So
yeah. I mean, it's pretty smart on Capcom's part. And the fact that they showed it before they announced the Resident Evil 3 remake, do you think that adds credence to these leaks or it detracts from
I
it?
think it detracts.
Yeah?
I think if you know that Resident Evil 3 is in the Game Awards show, why wouldn't you also know this is in there and part of the same project?
Okay.
Like, I would say that would be it. Because especially when you're leaking this before State of Play airs, like, that would be a big deal and a big thing to, like, lend credence to what you're saying. If you say, like, oh, and Resident Evil Resistance is part of this game.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the most obvious things as part of, like, what they're promoting here.
Yep, it's true. Still a good... I'm glad that Resistance is a part of a bigger,
that is
a bigger
definitely
package.
a smart move, yeah. If a standalone multiplayer-only Resident Evil game is probably not a wise move.
Nope. We saw that with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
With Metal Gear Survive. What a disaster that was. Let's see. Next up, here's a pretty big one. A remake of Banjo-Kazooie titled Banjo-Redooey.
Like, that's dumb enough to be real, but, like, I don't know.
Scheduled for fall of 2020.
I'd play it.
Well, yeah, of course.
But, like, what does that even look like? Like, is it...
I hope it looks like the art style from
Prettier?
Banjo-Kazooie and not the art style they use for Nuts and Bolts.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping.
Like, I don't know what you do with that to make it worth playing over, like, the thing that's already on Xbox One as part of the Rare Replay collection. Like, does it just look like this, but, like, more realistic? Like, what? I don't know what you... I guess you just make it look like Luigi's Mansion? Or, like...
I mean, I would also guess that it would be like a double pack. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie.
Oh, I would be shocked if they did that.
Those are big games, though.
Yeah, Tooie's
gigantic.
Tooie's too big to pack into something like that. They would be separate.
It'd just be a lot of work. It'd obviously fit on a disc, no problem.
Oh, yeah, but like it's just you wouldn't do all that work and then just give it away like that.
Yeah.
You'd do one and see how it's sold.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, a Banjo-Kazooie remake. It's a great game. It's one of the best platformers ever made. But just... I struggle to see the logic behind it.
Yeah, when I feel like the Xbox One version of this already is good enough.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what you add to that to make it like tempting for someone who already has access to the Rare Replay.
Yeah, and you also wonder too, like, you know, a lot of people just got it. Why would they spend another $60 on a remake when they just got it in Rare Replay and it's on Xbox Live and blah 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 and it looks and runs pretty good? This is one of the rumors to me, even though the title is perfect.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that kind of sends up red flags for me. It doesn't compute for me, I guess is the best way to put it. Next up, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2. That has been rumored for a while. The first game was completely forgettable.
Yep.
And the biggest problem is PlayStation just doesn't have the characters to fill out a big roster for a game like this.
Well, also I think the way they worked the combat just didn't function. Like, it was not as compelling.
No, for sure.
As what Smash
Regardless of the
Brothers
characters, just wasn't as good a game.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And it doesn't really have the cachet. I mean, what does it have? Like 20 characters probably?
It's something like that. I don't remember. I mean, it had a pretty good roster.
But a lot of them were from like third-party games and
Yeah.
like indie stuff, and
And also like they just don't gel together the way Nintendo's crew does. Like, because Nintendo obviously has, Smash Brothers has some like crazy additions, especially recently as they sort of run out of like core characters to use. But like just watching Nate Drake beat the crap out of the Ape Escape kid is just weird.
It
like,
is
I
weird.
don't know. Like, I don't know if there's
Nintendo's managed to capture that charm.
Yeah, and there's not the same kind of charm from like watching the Dead Space guy get attacked by the medieval guy. It's just not. It's not there.
Yeah, I'd agree. But I think
I don't see any reason to try that again. But like, I'm not.
the
gonna
game
say
didn't sell that well.
No.
But they probably figure we need to be in that space. We need to have a first-party fighting game.
Yeah, Sony might just see those Smash Brothers dollars.
Like if we can get a third of that,
Yeah.
we're cool.
we're good.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like Detroit or whatever, it probably would outsell Detroit.
Maybe one thing I would say to do with that would be like make it more than just fighting. Like add some other, make it more like kind of an Olympics thing. Like, and we could finally get Uncharted karting.
Right.
Uncarded.
Uncarded.
That's the only thing I would think is like, don't just straight rip Smash Brothers off. Like make it
Which is what they did.
Make it more of like the PlayStation characters get together to like compete.
Party,
in things,
have fun.
sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Next up.
Karaoke, man.
Yeah. Next up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
Follow
1
the
and
paths of
2
a career
remake.
skater. You'll unlock
Scheduled for
stories
summer
and
2020.
inspired by the real pros.
I mean, I'd play it.
Yeah.
If they did it right, as opposed to the HD version that was not.
Was a piece
very
of
good.
junk. Yeah.
I
I think that was Beanox that made that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I mean that Beanox also made the god awful Tony Hawk's real skateboard like peripheral game. Wow.
They made a couple of decent Spider-Man games though.
They did. Yeah. For whatever reason, the Tony Hawk franchise just has not worked for them. So hopefully, if this is true, that they have other developers. Neversoft isn't around anymore, so it can't make it. Like,
I don't know. I mean, it has been interesting to me that like Tony Hawk has been in like internet media a lot the last couple of weeks.
He
Like,
has.
he's been doing some stuff.
he's been talking too about the game, about Activision.
There's a Tony Hawk Pro Skater in development of some
Yeah, I
form.
watch a lot of skate videos on YouTube, and I've caught a couple interviews with him recently where he's like, "Oh, I just came from a meeting with Activision," and they're like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can't say anything, but blah blah blah."
Yeah. Also look up. I think it was for Wired. He did a YouTube video of analyzing skateboarding scenes in movies, which is really interesting.
I bet.
In part because he's in some of them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's like the stunt
what do you
guy.
think of this? He's like, yeah, that's me in the pink shirt right there. But it's fascinating because he does a lot of like like he watches like 5-6 seconds maybe of things. He's like, oh, that's this person and this person and that person, and when it cuts to this shot, that's this person. It's not the same guy.
yeah.
And he's like, this trick is cut together with
Encyclopedic.
this trick. I mean, all he needs to see is like 15 frames of something. He knows what trick it is, why it doesn't match up with the previous shot. He's like, at one point, he's like, really, the problem is they didn't have a skater in the edit bay. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's true. That's a good point. Like,
Yeah.
I just think that video. Look up that video. It's just fascinating, even if you don't care about skateboarding, which I don't really. But like watching him able to just process that amount of information, which I have. I mean, he's like. He can tell shit in like a split second that I couldn't tell by watching it 15 times.
I mean, I
It's
skated
really,
for
really
over
good.
a decade, and I watch like skate competitions now. I can't call out the tricks like as fast as the announcers do, because the other thing too is that like skaters now skate switch stance. When I skated, you chose which way you're going to skate, either common or goofy foot, and that's the way you skated. Because when I first started skating, the boards weren't even the same on both ends. Like you had a nose and a tail. And then once the board started becoming kind of the same on both ends, people started skating both directions. And so I can pick up most tricks, but I can never figure out whether they're doing it their normal foot or switch stance, because I don't know.
Yeah, he calls that out constantly
Oh,
in
yeah.
the video, and it's just like,
I don't know what each skater skates normally as. Like, I don't know what is common for them. Does that guy skate switch stance, or does he skate common?
I guess if you're personal friends with all of them, I'm
You
sure
know.
it's a different
Yeah,
thing.
like I can tell you all the guys I skated with back in the day, I can tell you whether they're common-footed or goofy-footed. Every single one of them, still.
But he's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And the other thing I didn't realize, because I don't know skate culture very well, he constantly gives huge respect and props to Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Not because he thinks it got skateboarding perfectly right, but he's like, so many people got into skateboarding because of Back to the Future.
He's absolutely right.
And he's like, I went to see that movie when it came out in 1985, and I was like, oh my god, someone's skateboarding in a major motion picture.
He skates and he picks up his board, and I remember me and my friends being like, oh, like skateboarding's cool now, and that was it. Like literally, it worked.
And when you think about, I never thought about that aspect of that movie until I saw that Tony Hawk video where I'm like, yeah, it's 1985. That movie was made by Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg. How the hell does skateboarding end up in that movie?
And I've known it all along because it worked on me.
It just makes sense. Well, it makes sense to us because we were like, oh yeah, everybody skateboard. That was a thing that was part of our world and our culture. But the idea that they put that in there is there's a foresight to that I've never given that movie credit for, and it's just another reason to love that movie.
It's a great film.
But yeah, look that Wired video up with Tony Hawk. It's a really good watch.
So what about remakes of 1 and 2? Does it move the needle at all?
I mean, I would play them. I love 1 and 2 more than the rest of the series because 1 and 2, while they're not tremendous skateboarding sims, they are basically the best action platformers ever made.
They're just fun.
Finding those lines and figuring out all those levels and getting all the. I mean, I played that over. I've told that story before, but when it came out on the PlayStation 1, I played it with my friend at his place, and he at the time lived in the back of this woman's house and her bungalow, rented it out with his wife. And the only place it was open on an alley. The only place to park was this parking lot that was by a church. And there was this crazy neighbor who would constantly watch the parking lot. And if you parked in there and you weren't going to the church even at 2 in the frickin' morning, he'd try to tell you. And we would argue with him constantly. And I parked there that one night. We hit a point where I'm just like, I don't give a shit. He's not going to do anything. So I parked there. We played Tony Hawk till 6 in the morning. I went out. My car was gone. The tow place didn't open. Tow place didn't open till 9. So we just went back in and played 3 more hours of Tony Hawk before we went out to get my car back. Yeah. And then more things happened with that man, you can imagine. But it was just one of those things, right? Well, guess we got to go play more. So yeah, even when your car is missing, you can play Tony Hawk and lose yourself in that thing. It's
the more complicated the franchise has become, the worse it got.
Yes.
And to me personally, the more simplified concepts of the first 2 games are absolutely what they should be working on going forward. They should work more on creating bigger levels so you can create more lines instead of overcomplicating the game and including this goofy story mode with a bunch of wooden skaters who can't act.
Absolutely agreed. And for me, this series pretty much ended for me when they added manuals.
Wow. That's when a lot of people thought it took off.
Which I realize because it's more like linking tricks together and kind of correct. But to me, it's more interesting to have limitations on it and have the level be
the level design.
You have to find the level design goes straight downhill as soon as they add manuals because they don't need to make all those lines match up anymore.
You can link everything now. I agree, 1,000%. Next up, something that you and I just talked about, and not a big surprise: Metroid Prime Trilogy revealed for Nintendo Switch.
Sure.
No-brainer.
I mean, I always thought that would be at this anyway.
Yeah.
If there's a place to premiere that, it's clearly this.
Yeah.
You don't want to blow Metroid Prime 4 at the Game Awards, maybe. But, to show this is, I bet that's why Reggie's coming back in part.
It could be.
I'm sure he's doing some kind of, charitable thing as well.
Yeah.
But, the 2 reasons to bring Reggie back is to make him announce something from Metroid and make him announce Mother 3. And we're not getting Mother 3.
Yeah,
so
it's Metroid.
It's got to be Metroid.
Yep. I think that one's probably pretty safe. Here's maybe a surprise. Sly 5 from Sucker Punch.
Yeah, that is a shot. I mean, from Sucker Punch is the bigger shot there, I think.
Well, it doesn't say Sucker Punch. I added that.
So
it could be from another studio.
Because Sly 4 was not them. They were. I can't remember the name of the developer.
I don't remember it either.
But they did a good job. It was fine. But Sucker Punch felt like they were done with Sly for the most part.
Yeah, because plus it's trying to finish Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. I
don't want it to be working on a Sly game right now. I want it to concentrate.
No, I feel like Sucker Punch would have to be all hands on deck on that. And,
yeah.
And frankly, moving forward, I would think they'd be more interested in Infamous
as
a follow-up than Sly. But Sly seems to have been handed off fairly effectively, and I will always like to see those characters come back.
Bentley, Adam's favorite Bentley.
Yeah, I'd rather play Sly 5 than have to go play PlayStation Battle Royale and see Sly again, so sure.
And here's the one that throws the baby out with the bathwater, which makes me not believe this entire list. And if this is true, it would bring down the house. Grand Theft Auto 6.
I don't believe that for a second.
To me is what...
Why would Rockstar do that?
I mean, I would say this. I think Rockstar would debut it at something like this with Jeff before it would do it at like an E3 press conference.
True, but I mean, even if it would basically be like it's coming. Like maybe you'd get like a Rockstar logo.
Yeah, we haven't even got like the logo or anything yet. And Rockstar does do that. Like it puts out the art with like the characters and then the logo.
And really, the first
sometimes it puts out the box art before it shows you the game.
Well, the first thing they did with Red Dead was they just put up the Rockstar logo in red.
Yep, that's all it had to do.
That's all they had to do.
It's crazy.
The thing is, like, I just don't see why, because Rockstar loves control and Rockstar loves to run their own narrative on this stuff, and I don't see what the Game Awards gets them.
Yeah,
it's not like no
one knows.
It's like no one's gonna seek out GTA 6 information whenever they're ready to put GTA 6 information out in the world.
Here is the one thing I would say. I have one of my best friends worked at Rockstar for years. I have several other friends who have worked at Rockstar. Didn't stay there very long. That's a pretty common story at Rockstar. But I know several people, one of which is one of my best friends, who worked at Rockstar. And the one thing I will say is, I think a lot of people look at Rockstar Games, and because you don't really see the Housers, they don't do a lot of interviews. You don't really see the brass from Rockstar doing much of anything. They don't generally show up at award shows to receive awards. They're just, I think to most people, they're like this mysterious, faceless organization that just churns out amazing games. And that last part is right.
And ping pong.
And table tennis, yeah. But it's not that way. Rockstar is actually run almost like a family business. I would even say almost like a family business, like the mob. Like it's very tight-knit. The people who have been there for a really long time, and they do care about personal relationships. So Red Dead Redemption 2, about to come out, I had not been in touch with Rockstar since I left Game Trailers. And so I just assumed. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to go buy it like everybody else. Because, look, they were hard to get code from back then. Giant Bomb, maybe it's changed now, but the last time I talked to Jeff Gersman, they still didn't get code from Rockstar. So, and there was a big kerfuffle with us with our review of The Last Max Payne. Anyway, I had not heard from anyone at Rockstar or even really reached out to Rockstar since I started SIFTD. And like a week and a half before Red Dead Redemption 2 is supposed to come out, an email pops into my inbox from the head of PR at Rockstar. Like I was shocked. Not only did I get an email, they found my email address, which I had not given them. Like when I left GT, I never said, hey, here's my new email address or anything. They had found my email address and sent me review code and specifically said, Shane, respect your work. We want to see what you think of our game. Like you don't get that from other developers. So I would say that they're not as faceless as people think. They actually do have kind of an honor code where if they feel like you've done a good job covering their products, they reward you for that. That to me is the slight crack of the door slightly ajar for this to be true.
Because we don't know what their relationship is with Jeff.
I honestly don't. I really don't. So, but they could have a great relationship with him.
If they do have a great relationship with him and they think that the Game Awards has really come a long way, not impossible. But
it's like a 10% chance.
Yeah. 10%. I mean,
I think it's at least, I think it's 10%. No, I think it's better than that, but very slim still, no matter what.
Yeah.
And again, that is the thing to me that was like the big red flag.
Yeah, well, wasn't there another thing there about gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2?
Well, yeah, I was getting to that.
I don't believe that.
Spoiler
I
alert.
thought you were saving GTA for the big finale.
No, GTA was, I'm just taking them in order as they were published. And then, as Matt just said, next up, the first gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2. Shown off with a scheduled release date of next fall. Which makes sense.
I mean, that all fits with the kind of the timeline I would expect from that game. And certainly Jeff has a very good relationship with Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
I would give that better odds than GTA 6 showing up.
Yep. I honestly think it's pretty likely.
Possible.
I'm not skeptical of it at all. As far as, like, I'm least skeptical of that compared to a lot of this stuff.
At the very least, it would be like they'd reveal that, like, yes, it's a co-op game.
Yeah. I mean, it's time. It's time to show the first gameplay of the game. If it's really coming out, and it should be coming out next Christmas, this is a time to show it in action for the first time.
Yeah. And didn't they premiere the? Nah, that was another thing.
The first trailer was E3.
Yeah, but Nintendo like does stuff with Jeff regularly.
Oh yeah,
so, like, it's.
I mean, he has huge exclusives from Nintendo every year at the Game Awards. Metroid Prime Trilogy, that's not gigantic, really.
No,
but
like it's a good also ran. I mean, it's big for me, but
it would be the smallest exclusive he's ever got from Nintendo for the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So think
it's
about it.
It's not really something to show up for.
No, that's why I think this.
Especially if Miyamoto's flying out.
Is he?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you saw that he was coming.
No, I didn't see anything, but like.
Oh, if that's the case, it's definitely happening. If he's here in LA, it's definitely going to happen. And then the last little bit.
My Miyamoto sensors have not been triggered, so I don't know.
And then the last little bit is that a Phoenix Wright game, Phoenix Wright is going to be revealed for Challenger Pack 5 for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Which, it could be.
Maybe.
I really have no opinion on whether that's true or not. I mean, there's definitely going to be more characters coming. And
yeah, I mean, it could be anything at this point. Phoenix Wright is an odd choice. I mean, but he is mostly associated with like the game GBA and DS.
Nintendo handhelds, yeah.
At least he was on there for like 15 years before he spread out to mobile devices and everything else you can think of.
Yeah.
So that would be a wise inclusion in terms of like Nintendo representation, but I also feel like he didn't turn out tremendously well as a character in Marvel vs. Capcom, so I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a very exciting thing for Smash fans, but it's hard to get a handle on what Smash fans want in terms of those characters, because it's like everybody wants everything, and someone be like, my most wanted character is this, and someone else is like, well, if that character goes into the game, I'm going to stop playing, and like it's like there's no consensus really. So yeah.
So anyway, that's it. That's the big leak that came out literally like 20 minutes before the show started. I scrambled to get all this B-roll together when we were talking about all this stuff. It worked. Somehow we got it all up and into the show. So now Matt and I, we're gonna go to the nominees for the Game Awards, and I'm gonna quickly run down the nominees, and you and I are just gonna pick the winner. Like, we're not gonna really discuss this. Like, just top of your head, what do you think's gonna win? Keeping in mind that these awards are voted on by a gaggle of 50 to 100 games journalists. So, all right, here we go. Bring it up on the net input, Jared, my computer, so they can see this stuff. All right, well, I guess we're just going to start with the big dog. Game of the Year. Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Smash Bros. Ultimate, The Outer Worlds, and that's it. And whoever designed this website did a really crappy job.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's like, if you have 6 of something, just fit them on the page. I don't know who did this. Anyway, what's your pick?
Like, what do I think is going to win?
Yep.
Death Stranding. I think this is the Death Stranding show.
Keeping in mind that IGN just gave Control Game of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Which, shocker, has there ever been a Game of the Year that sold less?
No. I don't.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
That game just got
apparently Control did okay though, because it turned out it only cost $30 million.
I know. That's insane. That's insane.
I mean, good for them. I mean, it seems like they've thought ahead there. But like, if Control was not in fact a disaster for the company, great, because I would like to see more of that universe. I guess that universe is really Alan Wake, isn't it?
Yep. Man. I with these awards,
I mean, there's a non-zero chance of Smash Brothers, but I feel like this is the Death Stranding.
I think there's a non-zero chance of Resident Evil 2. Yeah. Because what I find with these awards a lot of times is if you just go look at Metacritic and look at what got the highest score, like 8 times out of 10, that's what wins at the Game Awards.
Yeah,
and it's the highest reviewed game of the year, RE2.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I got this feeling in my gut that this is the Death Stranding show.
I think it's Death Stranding. Yeah, I think it is too. So that's 2 votes for Death Stranding. Action Game of the Year: Apex Legends, Astral Chain, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Devil May Cry 5, Gears 5, or Metro Exodus.
Wow. I mean, my instinct would be to say Apex Legends.
Yep. Yep. It's the big story of the year.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Apex Legends too. It's like
that is like
AAA,
for me. That's
play.
like 5 coin flips. Like, I guess like my favorite game out of that whole lineup was probably Gears 5.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I think will win this in this situation, I think Apex Legends.
Yeah, based upon who votes on this, I'm guessing Apex Legends as well. Again, don't draw any insight into this for our Game of the Year awards coming next week, because this is us.
Apex Legends will not be on my list.
It will definitely not be my shooter of the year, just so you know. Action adventure game. Borderlands 3, again, the genres in these awards are all goofy. Borderlands 3, Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Link's Awakening, or Sekiro.
Death Stranding.
Yep. But I will say this. These awards aren't logical. So just
No.
because Death Stranding won Game of the Year, that doesn't mean it's going to win its genre award.
True.
Which is really goofy.
I would also say, like, I feel like whatever maybe doesn't win this might win Game of the Year. So it's like, this is either Resident Evil or Death Stranding, and the Game of the Year is either Resident Evil or Death
It'll
Stranding.
flip. Yeah,
that's possible.
That's probably true. It'll be interesting to see what Control does in these, though.
Yeah. Control is definitely the dark horse, but I wouldn't say it has no chance.
Yeah. Okay. Art direction, skip, audio design, community support.
Death Stranding.
Content creator of the year, blah, blah, blah.
Death Stranding.
Esports coach.
Death Stranding.
Look at all these esports.
Kojima, Norman Reedus.
And look, it's probably all money driven. Like,
Of
there's
course.
sponsors from esports, and that's why there's so many categories. Family game.
Death Stranding.
I would go.
I'd say Ring Fit Adventure on that one. It has a really good reputation among the press.
Yeah.
It's probably Ring Fit Adventure Smash.
Or Super Mario Maker 2. I see all the journalists sharing their levels they've made on Twitter.
I think it's either Smash for just sheer popularity or Ring Fit for like good of the nation sort of thing.
That's a tough one. Yeah, it's Smash. It's gonna be Smash. It's just too big. Fighting game.
Smash.
Yep. Indie game. These all the nominees? Yep. That's it.
I mean,
whoever designed this website, man, must have been on crack.
I mean, that has to be Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the only thing that everyone on the judging panel has played.
Yeah.
It should be Disco Elysium, but it's not going to be. I'm glad Disco Elysium's just in there.
Yeah, Untitled Goose Game's going to win it. It's like the darling or whatever.
Game direction. Gee, I wonder. Death Stranding.
And it basically, who's the best game director?
If there is one category Death Stranding is winning, no question, it's
that
this
is
one.
it. Because you know who the game director
because
was.
Otherwise, Kojima ain't sitting on a 13-hour flight to come out for this crap.
Yep. Games for Impact. Let's skip over that one. Independent game. Didn't we just do this?
No, this is different.
It seems like it's the same.
It's the same except for Katana Zero.
Yeah.
I think that's still...
They won't give the same game twice, so Disco Elysium for this one.
Maybe.
That's what I'd say.
Or just the Goose Game.
Although that Baba Is You apparently is something I've not played.
Also, Outer Wilds is a darling.
Yeah.
I mean, Outer Wilds is solid stuff.
I mean, they're all good games, but we're just trying to figure out what they're going to pick.
I mean, I think it's probably also Goose. Goose.
I'll go with Disco Elysium on this one. Mobile game, no one cares. Multiplayer game, Apex Legends. Nope. They'll vote for the Division 2, I bet.
You think?
Yeah.
I think Tetris 99 might be an outside winner there.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Tetris 99.
I mean,
it's free.
I would be shocked if they picked that as a winner. It's just Tetris. I mean,
on one hand, yes, but on the other hand, think about who makes up the press. They're all Nintendo fans who grew up playing this shit, and Tetris.
Yeah. I think Division 2 wins that one.
My bet is Tetris 99.
Because, again, they won't give another award to Apex Legends. Narrative. Plague Tale, Control, Death Stranding, Disco Elysium, The Outer Worlds.
I mean, it should be anything but Death Stranding, but it's going to be Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I'm glad Plague Tale's nominated. It should be.
Yeah, it should
be in there.
Yep, absolutely. You mentioned that when it came out, how good the story was. Yeah, I'm going with Death Stranding as well. Game as a service, or ongoing game as they call it.
Fortnite.
Yep. Performance. No one cares about these. RPG.
Well, that's got to be Norman Reedus, right?
Yeah. Yep. Probably so.
If you see Norman Reedus in the audience, it's Norman Reedus.
Look at Ashley Burt. She looks all different now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she'd be my pick.
Yeah.
For this.
She should win.
At this point, I will buy a game just because she does a voice in it.
Yeah.
Like, she's extremely good.
Yep. But you're right, it'll be Norman. Because if he can get Norman Reedus to come on stage at his award show,
right?
Huge. Role-playing game, best RPG. This one, Disco Elysium.
It should be Disco Elysium, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be Monster Hunter World.
Oh, you're right. No, it's just Iceborne, though. It's not.
Yeah, but they still love Monster Hunter World.
I'll go with Disco Elysium on that one.
I hope you're right.
Score music, sports racing game. That doesn't matter. Strategy game. Age of Wonders Planetfall, Anno 1800. Wow. You know, if they nominated Anno, this category was slim pickings. Fire Emblem Three Houses, Three Kingdoms, Tropico 6, Wargroove.
I think it's either Fire Emblem or Total War.
It's going to be Fire Emblem. It scored so much higher. Well, actually, Three
Three
Kingdoms.
Kingdoms scored very high.
It did, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go Fire Emblem.
I'd lean Fire, but I think it's kind of a coin flip.
Because I think more people played Fire Emblem than played
Yeah, you're probably right.
of the journalists. I think more of them would have taken the time to play Fire Emblem.
Yeah, you're probably right.
VR AR game.
Oh, boy. Beat Saber.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the VR game of forever. I think they'll get that one right.
Yeah.
And that's it. So there you go. All the nominees, our picks for what we think we will win. Again, these are not our picks. We're going to have completely different picks for our Game of the Year awards next week. We're just trying to guess what we think the journalists are gonna pick. And the Game Awards is on Thursday. What is it, like 6
Starts
p.m.?
at 5:30 Pacific, but that might be like the pre-show thing.
Yeah. So 5:30, 6-ish. We'll have it curated and ready to rock on
But they do a lot of like trailers and
the pre-show is pretty big.
Little pre-show reveal things, and they also sometimes like reveal winners during the pre-show. So I would tune in for it.
Yep. But if you just go to SIFTD.net, we'll have it curated. It'll be pinned to the top of your SIFT. You won't be able to miss it again on Thursday night. We wish Jeff all the best luck. This is kind of the first time he's doing this show at the end of a generation. So it'll be interesting to see if interest wanes a little bit for this edition of the show. Next year will be huge because we'll have Generation 9 kick in, and that'll get complicated. Like which games came out in time to make the award cutoff. And
Well, what was the cutoff for this one? Like beginning of November?
yeah, because Smash obviously came out last year, but it's in this year's awards because it just missed the cut last year.
because it was like December 3rd or something.
Yeah.
So Disco Elysium made it, barely.
Yep.
But, yeah. Makes you wonder, like, I mean, will PlayStation 5 come out in time? I mean, I would imagine if you're Jeff, you just move the...
Yeah, you just move the goalpost.
The goalpost until it's like, so you can get the
Get it in
PlayStation
there.
launch games in there.
Yeah. I think it'll probably come out in November. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Both consoles, I think. Hey, Don Lionheart, thank you for the mega cheer. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Fallen
it.
Order did miss it. That's right. Fallen Order came out too late,
Oh, it missed the cutoff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
which was the 15th. So,
Yeah. And I wonder, that game will get lost probably in the shuffle.
Oh, so the
next
cutoff
year.
was, in fact, the day Star Wars came out.
The day it came out. Thanks, Vincent, for that update. Yeah, that stinks. But yeah, like I said, next week.
Yeah, there's one
right
that's
here
not,
we'll be
not
giving our
going to be
game-
remembered next year.
Yeah,
for the
that
nominees.
stinks, man. And it would be remembered if it weren't for the new consoles coming out.
On Pokemon. Pokemon didn't make it either.
Oh, it missed the cutoff,
You'll
too.
see some Pokemon nominees next year, I bet.
It'll definitely. People will remember that.
You never forget Nintendo.
Even though its Metacritic is only 80. I'm still really shocked by that. Because Let's Go scored higher than that. Its Metacritic is way higher.
Let's Go has a lot of nostalgia rolling for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how that kind of affected things. I mean, it affected me. I was more excited for Let's Go than Sword and Shield. And now that I'm almost done with Sword and Shield, I think I did enjoy playing Let's Go more.
I don't know. I think I might like them about even.
Yeah. I mean, there's parts of each one that I like more
Yeah.
than the others, for sure.
The perfect Pokemon game has yet to be made.
Yep, that's something to strive for still. But we're probably not going to see another one for literally 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I think we'll see another one like next year.
Really?
Next year, or the year after. Yeah, we'll see an Ultra Sword and Shield.
Oh, I mean like a new entry.
A brand new one? Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd probably be 3 or 4 years.
Switch 2 or something. Yep, launch
We'll
game.
see. I think we'll see a Ultra Shield and Ultra Sword, and we will see Let's Go style Gold and Silver, and I mean, there's probably remakes of Diamond and Pearl in the pipeline somewhere.
Hopefully Black and White. The best Pokemon ever.
Long way out.
Yeah, it is for sure. All right, let's move on. Again, Game Awards Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Next, we're going to talk about the PlayStation's 25th anniversary. We probably should have talked about this last week because last week's show was the exact day. December 3rd was the 25th anniversary of PlayStation. The show is packed with 10 topics last week. It didn't make it in. It is making it in this week. First of all, Matt, what is your best memory of being a PlayStation gamer over the last 25 years?
Oh, specifically tied to the console?
Yeah.
I would say that's probably when my same roommate who had the 3DO got a PlayStation 1 when it first came out. And he got a couple of launch games, but the main thing he got was Game Day, NFL Game Day. And
Great. It was the best football game on the market at the time.
Our setup in that dorm was it was like a suite. So there was a bathroom, a communal bathroom, and then there was like on each side was connected like a little common room on either side, and then there was a double and a single on each side. So there was 6 people per suite. And my roommate and I were friends with the guys in the double on the other side of the bathroom and the guy who lived in the single there. And they would all come over and play game day with us. And we started a whole league, and we had a whiteboard with like brackets and shit. We almost failed finals. Like, it's all we did all through November and beginning of December. Like there were things where like we were like asleep on the floor in my room, and someone would wake up and is like, "Oh, I gotta go to my final." It's just we were horrible children. Like it was basically, but like we had tons and tons of fun. It's the only time I think I ever cared about football that much. It was like we're doing research on that and figuring this out. I played the Raiders, did not win.
Game day was great, man.
But it was tons of fun.
Entries,
It was like the first time I ever really started to kind of understand how football strategy worked just by playing it as much as I did. And like the other guys, because the other guys were all sports guys.
Remember 989 Studios?
Oh yeah, the other guys were sports guys. They were like a lacrosse player, and like they were excited because like they got to teach me something about a video game.
Yeah.
And like normally it was me showing them how to play stuff, and they're like
Tables
oh, I gotta do
returned.
that. So like it was like a whole like reversal of that, and they could like win against me, and they couldn't win against me in Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yeah.
So it was just sort of like we all had a great time.
Okay.
So that was probably my first. I'm like, oh, this PlayStation thing's pretty good. All
I
right.
kind of like it. I think most important memory of the first 25 years of PlayStation gaming happened at a club, believe it or not. I was in school in Philadelphia at Temple, and all my friends there they threw raves, and they had club nights in Philly. And I was the only gamer in our whole crew. And it was one of those things that I did by myself. Like, I could get other people to play against me at, like, NHL 94, but then I'd crush them, and they wouldn't want to play. So I always was trying to get my friends to play games like I did, to love them as much as I did, to be into them as much as I did. So it wasn't something that I had to do, like, in my bedroom, and I couldn't, like, hang out in the living room. So one night, my buddy, his club night was called Yo Man, because it's a Philly club night. Why wouldn't it be called Yo Man? And he put out
Yoda Man.
He put out flyers for the next Friday, and I look, and there's a PlayStation logo on the flyer. And I call him on the landline because there were no cell phones. And I'm like,
did you have to dial?
The rotary. I'm like, Kevin, what's this PlayStation logo doing on your flyer? And he's like, oh, they're coming next week. And I'm like, what do you mean they're coming? He's like, they're coming, and they're setting up a bunch of kiosks, and people are just going to be able to play it for free. And this was like months before it had come out. Like, Sony was doing this underground, like, grassroots marketing thing, and they had discovered my buddy's parties and was like, we want to do it at your parties. And so the next week rolled around, and sure enough, we roll in there, and there are like 20 PlayStation kiosks inside the club that they had come in and set up. And I saw everyone playing it that night, and I didn't really think anything of it, and I played it for a little bit. I had to DJ that night, and when I would DJ, I was like in the zone. Like, I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was just like, these are my tracks I'm playing. Like, I was just focused. And so I didn't even play it that night. And then, like, the night's over or whatever, and then I just start noticing my friends start talking about video games because they did play that night. They weren't DJing or have any responsibilities. They played, like, all night. And I noticed over the next couple of months, they're like, that PlayStation thing that was at Yo Man, that thing was pretty hot and blah, blah. Next thing you know, launch day comes, they all go out and buy it. And then from then on, like, my life changed. Like, all my friends played games then from now on. And that, to me, is one of the biggest achievements of PlayStation, is breaking it out of this kind of enclosed cocoon that I had been in for a really, really long time and making it something that seemed, and it's absurd to me to say this, but this is the way they really perceived it. Like, a lot of people felt like PlayStation made gaming cool. The subject matter, the fact that it had games that were at least slightly angled towards adults.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
And
sure.
That was a shift, and it got all my friends into gaming. And look, eventually some of those friends even realized after a few years of really being into it, you know what, Nintendo makes the best games. And now they're big Nintendo gamers, and they play everything. But it was the PlayStation that basically greased the wheels to get them in, and I feel like that's a pretty common story for a lot of people.
I think that would probably be, if I was going to, my other pick would have been, because I didn't get my own PlayStation until 97. in preparation for Final Fantasy VII. But I got it a few months before that because there was a deal on it, and I wanted to play Wild Arms. And that fall, when I came back from college for Christmas, I brought the PlayStation, a bunch of stuff, and I brought it over to show a couple of my friends who I knew were into games, because I knew several people into games. They're all my high school friends. And we were going to have a big house party. At this party, one of our friends was house sitting for this big house, and we were just going to have a party there with permission. But
That's no fun.
They're out of town. But I mean, we were 21.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. But so in the front kind of family room, I set up the PlayStation, and the game I was showing my friends was Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah,
that was new at the time.
That's a party hit. Yep.
By an hour later, the party had stopped, and everyone was in that room taking turns playing Parappa the Rapper. And I was like people I knew who
you were disappointed.
They weren't gamers. They never made fun of me for games. They were were very patient if I wanted to play Mortal Kombat when we were at 7-Eleven or whatever.
Right.
But they didn't play games.
Yeah.
Every single person in that room took a turn on that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think there might be something to
it.
It was a year before I had a similar experience with the N64 and Shadows of the Empire and Mario 64 at a Christmas party as well.
Yeah.
But this was
different.
People that
girls.
had never. Oh no, I have plenty of girls who played games all my life. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I came back from college, one of the first things one of my female friends asked me was, "Could I borrow your Super Nintendo?" Because she wanted to play Mario World again.
I did not have that luxury.
Oh yeah, I mean, but this was also a lot of girls who were always never touched games, and all of a sudden they want to play Parappa, they want to play Bust a Groove, they want to play all that stuff, and I was like, all right, this is different. We had never stopped a party before to do anything other than party.
Right.
And it ended the part. Everyone just played Parappa till they passed out, basically.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'd never seen that before.
Huh.
And I was like, that's new.
Very similar story to
what I have. Very similar to that. I mean, it was no rave, but it was not how I expected the night to go.
Yep.
And from then on, it was pretty much how that world, people were willing to try video games again.
Okay. Now we're going to share what both of us believe was has been the most important moment in PlayStation history. What was the turning point? What was that moment over the last 25 years that set PlayStation onto the path of success that it's enjoyed for a quarter of a century? Matt, what's your pick?
My pick is pretty much the first PlayStation moment, which was at the first E3. And Sega got up and did their Saturn presentation and announced that this game and that. Oh, by the way, it's available right now. You can go out and buy it right now with 2 terrible launch games that no one asked for, and everyone's like, "What?" And it's $399 US. And they finished their thing.
Not 500.
Not 500. They finished their thing. I mean, that was a lot in 1994 money, 1995 money.
Hell yeah.
And they left. They get off the. This, by the way, this is when all the press conferences were at the same podium, in the same room, at the same time. And the Sony rep comes up to the podium and leans into the mic and goes, $299. And
that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Room exploded. It was $100 less than the Saturn. And end of story.
Game over.
And so there have been a lot of other things over the years, PlayStation 2's DVD player, et cetera, et cetera. But that first foothold, when everyone's like, oh, is anyone even going to buy a Sony video game console? Not a Sega or Nintendo? Why would you trust anyone who isn't Sega or Nintendo to make video game? And they said that, and I was like, yeah, $100 less? For sure.
Yeah.
Done. That was it. It was really... that was the moment where I'm even reading, because I didn't see it, obviously. You can find video of that online now, but I read about it in a magazine. I'm like, oh, that's done. Even as a Sega fan, I'm like, that's the end of that.
Yeah, there were no live streams of E3 back then.
No.
That wasn't a thing.
But it was things like that, or and I guess I had my own moments, but in terms of the business, in terms of oh, Sony's going to be here to stay, that was the first time. I mean, even as a 19-year-old kid was like, oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's the fact that this guy, and the fact that the Sony guy knew to just go up and say the price.
That's all he had to do.
Because after seeing that whole presentation from Sega, they knew all they had to do was be cheaper.
Yep.
And they were.
And it worked.
And that's where it all starts.
Yep. Okay, my pick, and I think this is probably your second pick. To me, the most important, and I would argue the most important moment, not just for PlayStation, although it was, maybe one of the most important moments for gaming in general.
There's definitely if you're saying what you're about to say, there was definitely a distinct sea change in how things were seen, marketed,
Perceived.
expected,
Yeah.
perceived. Thanks a lot, game fan. I mean, not all of it positive. Like I don't.
That's true.
But it did change things.
Yep, and that is Final Fantasy VII going to PlayStation. You guys, a lot of you guys probably weren't into games, or maybe some of you guys weren't even alive, to be honest, back when this happened. But I was a huge gamer when the generations were beginning to shift. And Nintendo had already shown some screenshots in Nintendo Power of Final Fantasy VII coming to the Nintendo 64. A lot of people were planning on buying the N64 because they knew Final Fantasy games were going to be there.
Which we now know was basically like a demo test thing using Final Fantasy VI.
It was all smoke and mirrors, basically. And instead, they decided to go to PlayStation. And
Which
changed
Nintendo didn't forgive them for
ever,
years.
until like almost all the way through the GameCube
Basically,
era.
Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, they finally were like, okay, we'll work with you again. It shifted everything in so many different ways. First of all, it showed that one of the most important game developers in the world trusted Sony. And that was huge, like what you were talking about. Like, how can you trust Sony? We've been buying these consoles from Nintendo and Sega for all these years, and this company just comes into the market like, well, I don't trust them. Like, why
and when
would
you see a third party come in like that, what's the first thing you think of? The TurboGrafx.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all these also-rans that never were anything, and they all came out of like normally technology companies that weren't video game companies. It was just that there was a conventional wisdom that Nintendo and Sega were video game companies. Atari was a video game company. Like video game companies make consoles. These weird tech companies trying to get in, they don't understand what we are.
Yeah, they're outsiders trying to get in, basically. And so, one, it showed to me that that PlayStation meant business. That if Square Enix will, at that time it was just Square, if Square will go over to PlayStation, that means probably a lot of other Japanese developers are going to jump over.
It's hard to emphasize how identified with Nintendo platforms Final Fantasy was.
Oh, it just was.
It was only on those.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of people thought they were Nintendo games.
Yeah. I mean, people who didn't know were like, oh, Nintendo makes these because they only come out on Nintendo platforms. Right. So that was a big shift. It helped me gain some inspiration in the PlayStation brand. But then, even more importantly, because of the CD-ROM and the ability to stream FMV, it was a total game changer because this was before there were laws in place where you had to leave like the little things on the bottom of the screen that says not gameplay. Like every commercial now has that if they use CG.
This is the first game I remember in which the commercials did not show the game
at all.
All FMV.
It was all summons. I mean, basically just all summons. And it fooled everybody.
Yeah, it was like a 30-second commercial. It was 25 seconds of FMV and like 5 seconds of Leviathan.
Yeah, and that was it. And it fooled everyone. Like everybody thought that's what the game. And no one even back then. People didn't even understand that FMV was this pre-rendered, pre-recorded thing.
Yeah, like
and the console was just playing it. Like
unless you had like a Sega CD, you just didn't, or a PC, I guess. Yeah. You didn't really have experience with that.
Like I told my friends, I'm like, well, that's all fake. And they're like, what do you mean it's fake? That I'm playing the game. That's what I'm seeing on my TV screen, and it looks way better than anything else. I'm like, but you can't interact with it. They're like, I don't care. Like it shifted everything. I mean, it sold. I can't even imagine how many consoles Final Fantasy VII sold. Like, I think just probably 20 or 30 million, just that game alone.
It was up there.
Then Metal Gear, between that and Metal Gear, like those two games built the PlayStation brand.
Yeah, Metal Gear definitely also deserves some of the credit, but I just remember. So Final Fantasy VII came out a little early where I was. When I was in college, I was in the East Bay, and I remember it was back when you could go to Toys R Us and buy video games, or you could go to Toys R Us at all. Right?
It existed.
But I went over and I remember like sometimes the wall of video games was just all those little tags. It was like a picture of the box. It had a little pocket with like paper tags. It said the price on it, and the name of the game. You took it up to the booth. You took it up. You paid for it. You took the receipt to the booth. The booth security booth gave you the game. Yeah. And I remember I went there just to go look, because that was also where a lot of the restaurants were. So we were going out to eat, and I saw Final Fantasy VII was there, and there were tickets. And I was like, that's not supposed to be out for like another week. Like, what's going on? So I picked out, and I'm like, okay, let's try. So I went over and I bought it, and they gave me the game. And I was like, all right, cool.
Bingo.
So I went home, went back, and everyone was like, oh, you're going to hang out? I'm like, nope. I'm going back to my room. I'm going to play Final Fantasy. And they're like, okay, see you later, nerd. And like, I was playing it, and like 20 minutes later, I hear there's this knock on my door. And I open it, and one of the guys who was like lives in the, because I had a same setup, single double bathroom. One of the guys who was in the double next to my single had heard the music, and he was like, "Are you playing Final Fantasy?" Yeah. I didn't even know this guy knew anything about Final Fantasy. I didn't know he was a game. All I knew, he got up at 6 a.m. to run every fucking morning, and he woke me up with his damn keys. But like, he was like, "Is that Final Fantasy?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Is that out?" I'm like. This is a whole new thing of you I've never seen before. But he came in and like watched me play it for a while, and it was like, and so I played that whole thing, and that was like my main memory. That was like playing that and eventually kind of coming to the realization like this isn't as good as 6.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because it set everything on fire, and it changed how RPGs are made. It changed how people perceive the PlayStation.
Yep.
Metal Gear Solid. You could argue that Metal Gear Solid was more closely identified in the end because it had such legs on it.
But
I
think
Final Fantasy
influence on older players.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I think Final Fantasy VII paved the way. It also set the tone of PlayStation 1 games. PlayStation 1 games between that and Metal Gear are gray and green.
Yeah.
Like there's a gray-green look to them that was not the same as the poppy, flashy, multicolored Nintendo games, which everyone thought meant that they were mature.
Yeah. But it also made every Japanese developer flip to PlayStation. Yep. Once Square announced that, everybody else just followed suit, and basically, unless Nintendo...
a lot of them were already there just because of the disc. Using the disc matters
with the
so
size.
Much.
Yeah, for sure.
It made it so much easier.
Stuff. Absolutely, yeah. And being able to stream audio, not having to write MIDI track.
And cheaper.
I mean, all of it. Yeah, it was a perfect storm. PlayStation came in; they were smart. Their hardware was a piece of junk. I ended up owning like 4 of them.
Although I remember the initial release, which had didn't have the custom AV out, it had like just the RCA outs. That became a big DJ thing.
It did. Yeah.
Like that was supposedly like some of the best sound you could get because it had the individual outputs.
Yep.
I remember my DJ friends in college like
they were playing music through their PlayStation.
But they would also, because I had one of the originals, and I remember sometimes one of my friends would be like, "Hey, whenever you want to get rid of that, you'll make," because it was starting to hit the point where like you had to flip it upside down to play it, you get the disc to play right, or you had to prop it up 90 degrees and like 45 degrees and lean against a book, and then it would run. And so, people, the weird strategies you had for keeping your PlayStation alive longer than it wanted to be alive, where I could fill a book on their own. But my friends are like, whenever you want to get rid of that, you let me know. I'll take it and fix it up and use it for my DJ stuff, because they wanted that output. And I don't even know if that was true. I don't even know if that was a real thing.
It's true. But yeah, it did sound great for sure.
But that for years that was sought after.
Yep. So there you go. 25 years, Matt. I can't even.
I don't know. I just had my.
It's crazy. Like. Here's one thing I'll say.
So they're saying 25 years since what, like the announcement that it was coming?
I guess,
basically?
yeah.
It came out in 95.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was, I used to have my 25th high school reunion. I'm well over the 25
Well, I think they're
thing.
celebrating the Japanese release date.
That come out that early?
Yeah.
I guess, okay.
Yeah, I think December 3rd it came out in Japan, and then we got it.
We got it that spring or something, I think?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's 25 years. Here's one thing I'll say to you younger folks out there who are in your teens, 20s, maybe early 30s. The older you get, the faster time goes. So to me, this was 25 years ago. It literally feels like it may have been like 8 or 9 years. Like, I remember everything about it. I don't know why it is. When you're like a teenager, and even until you go through college, like time seems to go so slow, and you find yourself bored.
Because your brain's still developing.
I guess. Like, as you get older, like, one, you're never bored because you're always busy, or there's something always to occupy your mind, and the time just goes so fast.
Also, like, you haven't lived long enough. Then, those are larger chunks of your entire lifespan. It's like, it felt, one of the reasons I was always disappointed in Return of the Jedi was because I waited 3 years for it to come out, and I was 7 years old, and that was half my lifespan.
Yeah,
that I can remember. Now something happens 3 years ago, and I'm just like, 3 years, that's nothing. Like, 3 years is
it's pretty nuts.
Blink of an eye.
Yep.
Makes you wonder if you lived to be like 1,000, like, would days even be noticeable
I
anymore?
don't know.
Like, would that continue to happen like more and more to the point of absurdity, or is there like a ceiling?
There has to be a ceiling. There has to be.
Think.
Maybe we should study that. Maybe we've just discovered like the secret to time travel.
Oh no, that is not a new idea.
I'm sure.
I've watched many PBS Eons videos about that.
But anyway, look, if you're young and you find yourself bored sometimes, like, enjoy the boredom. Because when you get older, like, it just feels like every day is, like, a minute long. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it just, you look back on a month and it feels like a few days.
Well, it's also worse right now because, like, it's just that thing where it's like you get up and you do some stuff. You're like, how is it dark already?
Yeah.
It's 4:30. Like,
Yep, that's for sure. So there you go. Congratulations to Sony on the 25th anniversary of PlayStation. 25 years from now, do you think all three will still be in the business?
probably.
You think all three?
I mean, Xbox might be more of a service than a hardware console.
I mean, they all probably will.
Yeah.
In 25 years. That's a long time.
Well, Pactors, to be believed, will all just be buying TVs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might be in 25 years. Or just one all-in-one device that does, like, everything.
I just don't buy because, like, no one's going to replace their TV that often.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody has the same nah. There's always going to be a separate box in some form.
Yep. So there you go. Congratulations, Sony, on 25 years. Here's to 25 more, and I fully believe that they will make it another 25 years. No doubt.
I don't know if the PS9 is really going to be an inhalant.
Yeah.
But, look that commercial up if you're too young to remember that one.
I hope I live to see the 50th anniversary of PlayStation. It's kind of crazy to think that I might not.
I mean, that's pretty young to die.
I mean, my dad didn't make it to that age, so...
Yeah, but wasn't he in a car accident?
He was, yeah.
Yes.
But he had a massive heart attack before that.
Yeah, but, I'm just saying car crashes aren't genetic, so you'll think you'll be okay.
We'll see. 25 years from now, it's a long
Statistically,
time.
you have a pretty good shot.
Yeah. We can live longer all the time, right? All right. Let's move on to our next topic. We're going to talk about the Switch Online, which we have berated, I believe, although I think maybe we're a little too mean to it because it is so cheap. At just $20 a year, it's hard to complain too much about it.
Although, to be fair, since this is the only thing I'm in it for, it's basically done nothing for 2 months.
Yep. So, yeah, we've waited for months because really for a lot of people, the big feature for Switch Online is that you get free SNES and NES games to play as part of your annual subscription. And for 2 months, there have been no games added.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's like a year for the cost of like two sandwiches.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. For $20, it's hard to complain too much. But
at the same time...
But when most people got it, not to play online, but to get access to these retro games, it's a problem. And finally today, Nintendo...
It's like, I know you have them.
Yeah. Oh, of course. But finally today, Nintendo had a Nindies event, and as part of that, it announced the next set of NES and SNES games that are coming to Nintendo Online on Switch. Star Fox 2, which was just released as an add-on.
Yeah, well, all of these, I think, are basically from the Super Nintendo Classics.
Yeah, Kirby Superstar, Super Punch-Out, Breath of Fire 2 from SNES. Yeah, these are all from the SNES
They're just
Classic.
completing the SNES Classic lineup. That's all it is.
What do you mean by completing it?
That's just what was missing from when they
you
launched.
mean as far as having all the games from the Classic
on
the service?
On the service, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's all it is. Right down to Star Fox 2.
Yeah, and then the NES gets Crystalis and Journey to Silas.
Crystalis is a good game.
Yeah, it is. It is a good game. Was it on the NES Classic, though?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
It
I don't
might
remember
have
what was
been.
on that. Maybe. It might have been, yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I think it was.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Regardless... Is this good enough, Matt?
No, but I can wait.
Better than nothing?
I mean, at least maybe the next thing will be something that wasn't on the Super Nintendo Classic, and we'll get something interesting. I don't know.
What are you waiting for still at this point?
I don't know. I have all the Super Nintendo games I would want, but it's nice to just have them conveniently there on the Switch.
Have you played this stuff on Switch Online?
Yeah, I played Zelda and Mario World. I played through most of Mario World again. I turned on Star Fox and realized that I just can't play that anymore.
Yeah.
It's rough.
A lot of these games are hard to play anymore, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's why the SNES Classic and the NES Classic, I just didn't care.
I'd like to see them, put Square stuff on there, but I don't think they can because Square sells that stuff separately for absurd amounts of money.
It's true.
I mean, obviously, I would like to have Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 2 and 3 on there, but I don't think we're going to get it.
With the rewind feature, no doubt. I mean, that is one thing that kind of changes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need that so much for an RPG, but
no,
it is nice to have for sure. Certainly, it's the only way I'm ever finishing Ghouls and Ghosts again.
Yeah, but you look at like this list that launched with the service, which was okay.
It's a solid list.
But man, we didn't get since then. I mean, it's been what, 3 or 4 months? Like
2 months.
2 months. September 5th.
Beginning of October.
September 5th was the launch date.
I thought they announced it then, but it came in October.
I mean, it just said September 5th on the screen.
One way or the other, that's too long.
Yeah, I mean, weren't we supposed to get monthly updates to this?
No, they said when they launched this that the monthly updates were stopping.
Oh, okay. So my question to you is, because I'm going to keep subscribing because I do play games online. I still play Splatoon 2 online and Smash online every once in a while.
Well, I've used some of the online stuff on Pokemon. I mean, I'll keep it around just to have full featured stuff, but like I don't know.
So you're gonna stay on Nintendo Online?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if they raise the price, you start really making me question. But
I guess maybe the better question is what we're getting with Nintendo Online, if you don't play online games, worth $20 a year?
I guess
it's borderline, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're people like us who played most of these games when they came out or have played them on collections across the years, I don't think it's worth it. If you're younger than us, which most people are,
it's probably
then it
more
probably is.
It's probably more worth it also if you like play the system portably.
Yeah,
which I don't.
Yeah, that's true. But wait, do you have to be connected to the internet?
I don't know.
To play them?
I don't think so.
I haven't touched this thing since the day it launched. I recorded B-roll of it so we'd have it for GameFace, and I've never went back to it since. So it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm basically paying $20 a year to play games online. Even though I don't do it all that much on Switch, I need it to be there just, like you said, for like Pokemon. Like, I didn't even think about the fact that that's crazy though if you think about it. Like, if you don't have Nintendo Online, playing Pokemon Sword and Shield is a pretty different experience.
Maybe. I mean, you do need it for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, not just to play the game, but if you want to use all its features, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the wild areas are all about online.
Yeah. I mean, originally I bought it. I went in on this because I wanted to back up my Zelda save. There was no other way.
Oh, that's right. Cloud save you have to pay for.
Yeah, I mean
you get that too. I forgot, and that is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to have to do that again.
Yeah.
Should anything happen to my Switch.
To me, cloud saving is a requirement of a console in 2019.
I would think so, yes.
Because if you have a hard drive crash and you lose, that's insane in 2019.
And especially, mainly, I mean, not even that so much as like, there's no other way to back your save up on the Switch.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't let you copy saves.
Yeah, I can't copy saves to like my SD card,
right.
Which is weird.
So I can't, if I absolutely do not want to pay for cloud saves on PlayStation Plus, I can still copy my saves that I want to keep some safe to a USB flash
thumb drive,
or something.
yeah.
But you can't do that with Switch.
Yeah.
So like you're holding that basically hostage behind a $20 paywall. And I'd rather pay $20 a year than not be able to back my saves up. Like,
I have heard stories.
For me, it's like the Super Nintendo and the NES stuff just sort of like makes that sting a little less.
And I have heard stories of people who had a problem with their Switch, sent it in, and they sent it back to them wiped.
Yeah.
So it's a legitimate concern.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to re-up for next year, you think?
I mean, what's probably going to happen is I'm going to forget, and they're going to charge me, and I'm just going to be like, whatever.
Whether you want to or not, you're going to pay. Yeah, see, available September 5th.
All right.
Yeah, so it looked like it did launch on the 5th.
Once a quarter, we get
Yeah, apparently that's what it's shaping up
games.
for. Yeah, 4 games a quarter, 16 games a year. That's not terrible, I guess, for $20.
Still like going to take them all to catch up to what their virtual console library was in like the 3DS.
That they just had to like start over with.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like the fact that Nintendo has started over 3 times now is ridiculous.
Why?
And you got to pay for it again
every time. Yeah, I think this is it though. I don't think we have to worry about that again.
I would hope so, but like.
But then
knows?
Nintendo may look
you
at
put
it
your
like
next thing out. Are you going to have to start over with all this over again? Or are you going to carry that library forward?
But Nintendo may look at it like these suckers just keep buying these same games. So why would
That's really it.
And I'm one of them. Like I'm one of the suckers. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's only been 3 months, and I don't know. It's worth it just for me to be able to play online, even if I don't do it that much.
It's worth it for me to know that like my saves are safe, really,
Yep.
more than anything. It's a shitty practice, but what choice do you have?
Yeah, when you got 50, 60, 70 hours of your life sitting in ones and zeros, there's a lot of value there. It's absurd.
On the
when I
flip
think about it
side,
sometimes.
all my original Final Fantasy VII saves are still on those memory cards.
Yeah, they're not like battery backed up or
No, they're
whatever.
just flash. So as long as they don't decay or something, I put them into the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 3 last year, and they're still there.
That's
so
awesome.
I had to get footage of Eris, the Eris Sephiroth scene.
Yeah.
And
There
it's
it was.
still right there.
It's pretty awesome when you do go back and your old saves work. Because
Yeah.
I'll start poking around because I always play games like with coverage in mind. So when I save games, I always save them at a point that's important to grab footage. So a lot of times
I do that too, even though it's just like, I'm like, I don't know, but the instant I don't do it is when I'm going to need it.
need that footage. And it'll be interesting to go back and like start going through your saves and be like, this is right before this boss fight, or this is like right before this happens or whatever. And you can actually go back and like skim through an entire game in like an hour and like go down this like nostalgia trip or whatever with it. So yeah, they're important. But what would you like to see Nintendo add? Voice chat, like just all that stuff.
I mean, obviously parity with the other
Party stuff, yeah.
That's obvious, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that thing where it's like, yeah, you want it, you expect it, but it's not like you can expect it from Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Probably never going to happen.
Probably not. At this point, I think my only real serious request would be like N64 games.
Yeah. Yeah. And that shouldn't be a problem.
You'd think.
They need to work with the guy who created the Ultra HLE.
Yeah.
Seriously, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they should. That guy figured out a way to make N64 ROMs run on hardware and accelerate them and make them look great. So they should definitely try to work with that dude. People are like, Ultra HLE, what's Shane talking about? It was the first emulator for N64 back in like literally like 99.
Barely worked, but it worked.
When it worked, it was mind-blowing, though. I'll tell you that much. The first time I saw Ocarina of Time running at like 720p,
Yeah. with anti-aliasing.
my brain almost exploded. I was like, what?
They can look that good.
And Wave Race, like all of it,
Yeah.
man. It made those games look way, way better. All right, it's time to move on. So last week we talked about Ancestors of Humankind Odyssey because its developer Patrice Desolates was lashing out at game reviewers saying that they didn't finish the game and reviewed it anyway, and then he was getting shanked and he wasn't getting his just rewards and blah, blah, blah. And we love Patrice, but we still said boo to him because that's BS. But born from that discussion, Matt decided to take it upon himself to go and see if Patrice was right and if this game actually is good and all the journalists that panned it are insane. And so Matt went and bought Ancestors and he's been playing it for the last week. What do you think?
I wouldn't say the last week. Well, I like what it's after. Like, it's definitely unique. It's got an interesting angle to it. I will say this. I think I pretty much believe him that people played it 15 hours and stopped.
Really?
Because so did I.
Oh, because it's so bad.
It's not bad. It's just tedious. And it's not... Man, I wish it looked like this. Like this... We're in Resident Evil 3 now.
Jared, I think you got the wrong trailer running there, but there you go.
Yeah, that's a big evolutionary leap right there.
Well, you went from the
Surprise
apes
ending.
to zombies. They went full cycle right there in like 10 seconds.
So, the premise is pretty self-explanatory. You start as a group of primitive hominins in Africa, like 8 million years ago, and you basically are. You're pretty much monkeys.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're clearly early proto hominids of
You're
some kind.
You're starting to stand up.
You're starting. It's not even standing up. Standing up comes way later.
No, I said you're starting to stand up.
Yeah, but
like your backbone is starting to.
A little bit. It's more the
straighten.
intelligence is finally starting to develop, and like you can stand up as the first species. You can stand up when you're standing still and looking at stuff. But like there is an actual achievement for standing up, learning to stand upright as your normal mode of motion. I did not get that far.
Yeah, it sounds like not many did.
But basically, what you do is you can you can hit. It's very obtuse. In a matter of fact, it starts with a text thing explaining like where it is and what time in the world it is and what evolution is and kind of what you need to do and what your objective is. And the last thing in the little text thing is, good luck. We're not going to help you much.
Really?
It literally says that. Now, it does have apparently more tutorial help than and direction to it than the PC version did when it got reviewed originally. And you can pick a bunch of options that basically like minimal HUD.
Oh, yeah, we should have mentioned it's out for consoles.
Minimal HUD, maximal HUD. You can have this much tutorial, no tutorial. Like there's a bunch of different options there. So I never played the PC version, so I don't know how empty it was. But this was I still don't quite know how the health bar works. You have to drink, and you have to eat, and you have to sleep, and that all ties in with your health bar, which is also your stamina bar, which if the stamina runs green to yellow to red, and then if the red runs out, you die.
You die.
And if you die, you sometimes you can like get rescued and brought back to your home base, and sometimes you presumably by your tribe.
Okay.
Or if you don't and you die, you have to switch to another character, and you can switch.
So
back.
It's permadeath, basically.
Kinda, yeah. But you do keep, for the most part, the evolutionary upgrades and genetic upgrades you get.
That's good.
Unless like the tribe gets wiped out, I think. So my tribe never got wiped out
yet.
But so you can kind of see here, like there's like a large part of the game is looking around using intelligence, which is the Y button, and you look around.
I know some people who could use that Y button.
You see blank kind of squares at points of interest, and you hold the button, and that square becomes either a question mark or a thing you already know. It becomes labeled as that thing.
Okay.
And if it's a question mark, you got to go up to it and inspect it, and then you figure out what it's for, and then as you move out into the world. If you get to places that you're not familiar with, it will look scary. Like what happens is like everything gets a little darker, and places that you haven't explored or you don't know what they are full of like glowing red eyes and like teeth and stuff. Like it's basically it's like a representation of being afraid of the dark.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
And so the way you get comfortable, and if that happens, your adrenaline starts to drop, and you can panic. If you panic, you lose control of the character, and it'll run around being a crazy monkey, basically. And that's a good way to get killed because you're not paying attention for predators or whatever. So the way you do that, the way you counteract that is you look around when you're in a new area and you identify what all the different things are. And once you are aware, okay, this is this bush, this is this food source, this is a tree, this is a branch, the character feels more comfortable, and you can go to like the center of the new area and claim it for your tribe. And so you're kind of expanding your territory that way. Meanwhile, you are trying to like deal with all these not monsters or predators, but like there's tons of things that can hurt you and kill you. You are much safer in the trees, in fact. That
makes sense.
Running around in the trees, and there isn't. I mean, you can get killed by giant otters in this game. And I can't be too far up in the trees because there's birds.
Wait, birds can kill you?
Eagles can kill you. Remember, eagles were a predator of early hominids in a way that like we don't really think of as much. But like the eagles back then were bigger than the eagles we have now, and these animals are like 3 to 4 feet tall.
Right.
Like, they were small.
They could actually pick up a baby and fly away with it.
They could pick up a small adult. Like we were small enough to be carried away by these birds.
That's scary.
There are actually some people who believe that is partly where the dragon's ability to fly comes from. Oh. That the dragon is a combination of all the predators we were afraid of in our primitive state, and it flies because it's got eagles in it. It's got teeth of a tiger and claws of a tiger and wolves and like you put all the things we would be afraid of the snake. It's got long
the scales.
You put all the things together we would have been afraid of back in our most primal state, and you get a dragon. Basically,
that's crazy.
Now one of the things that like is annoying is if one of these things attacks you, you can try to dodge it, but if you don't dodge it, you get hit, and if you get hit, you probably start to bleed, and you will bleed to death if you don't fix the bleeding. And the way you fix the bleeding is there's a particular thing that grows on trees, some kind of fiber, some kind of I called them bleeding pine cones. And you crawl up and you get the pine cone, you rub it all over. The character rubs it all over, and the bleeding stops, and you're fine. And then you probably have to find a way to like sleep or eat to like regain some of the health you lost. But what happens later? So what happens later?
How do you evolve? How does that happen? Because that's the objective of the game.
As you do things and see things and interact with things and figure out how to use tools and figure out how to deal with predators or trick predators or escape from them or whatever, expand your territory. You level up various elements of so there's like intelligence. So intelligence is from identifying things and figuring out how to work with things. There's mobility, which is kind of about like your ability to do moves. Essentially, like you have to learn.
My question though is it like a gradual thing where
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh,
like you as you do those things, you get you see there, like you get like hitting, like you gotta discover a new alteration. There's a new way to do something to something. That also happens when you eat things that you're not equipped. If you eat, so like one of the reasons I would get attacked by eagles is because I'd go find their nests and get eggs. But when you first eat eggs, you are not equipped to digest eggs. But if you eat enough eggs, and one of the ways you do this is actually you take a baby with you. You take a child around with you, and they learn by watching what you do. You level up your neurology faster, presumably meaning like the future generation learns from the older generation. Yeah. And like you will basically, like, so eventually you will have the option to then get an upgrade that lets you digest eggs or lets you digest mushrooms or etc. And the way you get that is like, so once you feel like you've got you've seen a bunch of upgrade things pop up, you go back to your home, your tribe location, and you have to build a little bed of leaves, and you lay down and you can sleep or you can mate. Or you can evolve, basically. And when you go to evolve, you have all these different screens, and it's got basically like a skill tree. And you can use the upgrading your different categories, like intelligence or mobility or digestion or whatever, causes new little points of light to appear there, and then you can spend the neurological energy you got by learning those things to unlock those points. And then to activate those points,
this is insane.
Activate those points, you have to hold the button down and spend more neurological energy to connect like a neuron to that point. So
DNA, basically.
So basically you have to unlock the skill, and then you have to like build a bridge to the skill.
Interesting.
And then once you do that, you kind of lock that in, and future babies born to the tribe will have that built into them.
Now, is there a moment of evolution, though, where your character maybe gets bigger and stands up a little straighter?
No, because that's not how evolution works. What happens is eventually, and I never got to this point. I never evolved through beyond the first species that I was. You will basically move on from this species. A certain number of years will pass because of whatever you've done or whatever you've achieved as that species, and then you will start playing as the next species that you evolve into a million years later or whatever.
Okay, that answers it.
But like what I was, so they do try to guide you, like, and maybe that wasn't in the PC version, I don't know, but they do try to guide you as like what you're supposed to do. So they're like, okay, make friends with a new ape or a new hominid. Or discover two places. Or I got stuck on give birth because I couldn't get my damn monkey pregnant. Like she was like, I was playing as one singular hominid most of the time, and you can call the mate, and the mate would come over, and you can mate. And the camera like pans away, and you hear like hooting noises and stuff. But nothing. Like, she never got pregnant. Like it never happened. Like I don't know if I need to switch or whatever. But what I would do is instead, I was like, okay, I'll just go out and explore. So I'd go out and I'd find stuff. I was getting pretty far out there. And one of the things that happens is like there's jumping in the game, and it's kind of questionable. You can tell the Assassin's Creed influences there because like you're climbing up trees and like. Basically, you hold the A button and you run. You run forward, and you let go of the A button and it jumps. And then if you hold the button,
that's weird.
You hold the button again, they'll grab like whatever vine they pass or whatever tree they land on or whatever.
So they're basically trying to give you one button controls.
Sorta. For like each thing you're doing tends to be like A tends to be mobility, B tends to be vocalization, Y tends to be thinking, and X tends to be smelling.
Okay.
You can actually detect a lot of food. You have to learn to detect by smelling it, not looking at it.
Right.
Like you'll find scents and follow it in, and then you can inspect that and find out, oh, it's a mango. Okay, I can eat that. One of the most epic things in the whole thing was finding a coconut for the first time and trying to figure out how to open the coconut. Like that was like a day and a half of work to figure out how that worked.
Well, you just answered my last question about this game. It's very interesting.
It is,
but is it any fun? Do you enjoy playing it?
Sometimes, but not overall. And here's the thing. So here's what happened when I stopped playing. One of the things, I'm talking about the jump and all that. If you mistime the jump or the jump happens to not charge up as much as you want, you can miss everything you want and land hard on the ground. And if that happens, sometimes you will break your leg. Now, breaking your leg basically just means you limp, and the character like makes whimpering sounds for about like 10 minutes of game time. You got a little thing in the corner that shows a broken bone, and it kind of unfills, and once it unfills, your leg is fine. But one of the weird things, like I said, about the bleeding. So what happened is I broke her leg, and I was way out in the middle of nowhere, and after I broke her leg, like something, I think a tiger or something attacked me, and I started bleeding. And I wasn't anywhere near any tree that had the stop the bleeding pine cone on it, and I had to go look for one. And she moved so slow with the broken leg that eventually she ran out of. I finally found one, but before I could get all the way up the tree, she ran out of stamina and died in midair. Like flat in the ground in midair off the tree. And what happens because I had a baby with me, because you bring the baby to let your neurological stuff learn up, level up faster. What happens is the baby runs off and hides in a hiding spot, and then you switch to another member of the tribe back at the base, and ideally you're supposed to go out and find the lost child. So I'm like, okay, so it switched me to this male, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll play you now. He was starving, dying of thirst, and had been awake for like 3 days.
So he was already done.
Well, no, because it just meant I had to spend some time like eating drinking. I'm like, do you guys not do that when I don't control you? Did I miss part of that? I thought I was supposed to play one character. I'm supposed to switch between everyone and like keep everyone fed.
Maybe
I don't know.
If that's the case, screw that.
So I said, okay, I'm okay. So I gotta go find this kid. So I go out and I jump to one tree to another, I jump to another tree, and then I jump off the branch wrong, and I miss the next tree, and I land, and he breaks his leg. And I just looked at it.
10 minutes.
No, I just looked at it, and I was like, no, I'm done.
That's
I
it.
just turned it off.
Yeah.
And that was it. So I played probably like 7 hours. And
Thanks for jumping on the grenade.
And I didn't dislike it. Like, I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it or didn't find it interesting. But there was a point at which I'm like, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And like, maybe I'll go back to it eventually. Maybe it's a fun kind of relaxing game in a lot of ways when you're not being attacked by giant snakes. But like just looking around and trying to figure out what things do, and like banging different ability, because you pick up a rock, and then eventually you have to learn how to transfer an item to your other hand.
Right.
So you
or how to bang a rock
so then you can pick up another item and like bang them together and see if they do anything. Or like put it in your other hand, and then you hold it to alter it, and like so that's how you like one of the first things you do is like basically you put a stick in your other hand and you alter it by running your hand along the stick, and if you do it at the right speed, you can strip the other branches off, and now you have a pokey stick.
Right.
And you use the pokey stick to lift rocks up, or stick it into like anthills and get like grubs to eat and stuff. So like if you're interested in that kind of thing, like that kind of survivalist sort of thing, in terms of also, I mean the science seems pretty solid for the most part, and how these things behave, and sort of how it evolves, and like it keeps track of like if you are doing really well, it'll tell you like, oh, you've actually your version of this species has evolved this many years before the real one did, so you're ahead of evolution.
A little bit of history, and
because that's the sort of thing is like
history.
The fact that you know what you're trying to turn these hominids into gives you an evolutionary advantage, because evolution doesn't do that. Evolution doesn't care what works best. It cares what works first. There you can see the tree there.
Yep.
So those glowing ones, those are not active yet. You'd have to build the neuron bridge.
Yeah.
You have to build the bridge to them.
Okay.
And the way you do that is basically by doing things in the world, almost anything. Like you can get like neurological points for like dodging a snake, and then like a tiger kills it. There's this one python that kept killing everything that was trying to kill me when I'd run past this one particular place where the python lived, and I was just getting tons and tons of evolutionary points for luring other dangerous things to the snake.
That's kind of cool.
So it's fun. It's like, that's the thing. It's like,
how much was it?
$29.
Oh,
like
okay.
$30, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it wasn't like an outlandish. I mean, it's actually kind of a lot of game for the price when you think about it. If you can get past sort of the tedium element of it, and there is a lot of that. I mean, it's like, you gotta go to sleep at night, and then you gotta get up and eat and drink, and like it keeps track of how much you're eating and drinking, and there's like an average for the different days, and it's like, oh, you drank a lot more yesterday than you usually did, and like I don't know what the significance of any of that. Like that's the thing, is like there's so much. It gives you a lot of information, but I don't know what to do with the information. It's sort of like one of the ongoing issues that I had with the game.
But you think Patrice may be right?
And I could not get that damn female knocked up to move on in the frickin' objectives. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if there was a fertility period I needed to hit, or like if that like it doesn't communicate very well. And even early on, like you're supposed to bond with another member of your tribe or whatever to get them as your mate, and the way you do that is by grooming. But I was like holding the button down, and like the guy would just kind of like knock me like get away from me. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And eventually it turned out you're supposed to hold the button down until you see a certain point of the animation where she's looking for ticks or whatever, and then you let go when you see that part of the animation, and then it's a successful grooming. Because if you just hold it down, it just plays the animation and doesn't work. And like you kind of have to figure that out by trial and error. And same with like the alteration. Like if you just hold the button down to alter something, and never let it go or let it go too late, like you'll just break the stick. Whereas if you do it at the right time, if you do it too early, that won't affect the stick at all. You have to hit that sort of sweet spot, which is not indicated, as far as I can tell, by anything other than maybe the animation of the character like moving its hands apart. It's just weird.
Do you think people who like survival games will like this the most?
Maybe.
People are used to maintaining like 5 different meters.
I mean, that could be, but I think the controls might frustrate them just because like it's not on the level of something like Assassin's Creed in terms of like the reliability of what these characters are going to do.
Yeah.
I never felt like I got the hang of exactly how far they jump or exactly what jump I could make or what the distance was. And I continually broke their ankles by doing that, and it just slowed the whole thing down. It was I mean, I'm sure I'd get better at it with time, but there was a point at which I'm like, I'm 6-7 hours into this thing, and I'm still struggling to like walk properly, and I just...
Which is why you agree that maybe some of the journalists did not, in fact, finish the game.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't hold anything against someone. I mean, maybe if it's your job to review it, yeah, you got to push through, dude. You got to get some stuff done. But if you're like a regular, normal person, even if you're not reviewing it, you're just part of a game outlet and you wanted to play this game, so you had an opinion about it and you tweeted about it. You're not the official reviewer, but you have an opinion about the game because you spent 6 or 7 hours playing this thing, and that's enough time to form an opinion about something. Like, yeah, I can absolutely understand why you decided that you had better things to do with your time after that.
Fair enough. All right, it's time to move on to Sony's State of Play, which just launched this morning at like 6 a.m. Pacific. A weird time to put up a video. I guess I wanted to make sure that they were there for the East Coast coffee drinkers. Sony's State of Play, for those of you who don't know, is basically Sony's take on the Nintendo Direct. It shows new trailers, new games. It's been the only vehicle for Sony to promote itself pretty much this entire year. Mm-hmm. So we've really had to rely on these presentations to know what is going on in Sony land at all. This morning's presentation was a pretty big one. With some pretty big announcements, to be fair. Some of the stuff that was in this, I was surprised was not held for the Game Awards, but there's also some synergy going on between the two events. Let's just jump straight into it. First of all, the Resident Evil 3 remake trailer was shown first here. Mm-hmm. I was very shocked to find out that, this was shown here instead of at the Game Awards. I thought that was a given that it was going to be at the Game Awards. I never dreamed a game that big would end up in a State of Play. Are you surprised by that it didn't end up at the Game Awards as a reveal?
No. I felt about right.
Why?
Well, I don't know if their hand was forced by the leaks, but I don't know. It's a big deal for Sony. Sony's always been identified as Resident Evil.
You think they thought they would reach more people with the State of Play or with
Probably.
the Game Awards? You think so?
Yeah.
You think they will, though?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know about that.
Because you know what? You only have to frickin' watch 10 minutes of this.
That's true.
This. You don't have to watch
true.
4 hours of the Game Awards. I mean, I know they'll break out all the trailers, on that.
Slowly.
But, no, it makes sense to me.
It's really, actually, the way that the Game Awards works is kind of goofy because, or maybe it's intentional, but Jeff lets, all the little fan sites get all the traffic off of his content. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll do it differently this year, but in years past, they haven't had, a team sitting there ready to make the trailers go live after they premiere in the show. So instead, you have all these little YouTube channels that record it and clip them out and get them up first and do a ton of views off of Jeff's hard work. So I don't know if that's going to change for this year or not, but he could make a lot of money just off of the ad views from this content. He's just letting other people take it. Maybe he doesn't need it, but I'm surprised. I would think that the Game Awards does reach more people.
I wouldn't think so.
I would say Sony's E3 whatever year press conference reaches more people than the Game Awards, but a State of Play, I think Game Awards might be bigger.
At the initial broadcast, I don't know about that. Also, like, Game Awards gets Ghost of Tsushima. Like, that's a bigger get.
Well, we'll get to that. It shared that game.
Yeah, I'm guessing the biggest share of that game goes to the Game Awards because what they showed here was nothing.
Yeah. So Matt just said, Ghost of Tsushima, a new teaser trailer, the first look we've had at the game in
year and a half.
Yeah, and this is all we get is this little 30-second teaser that is to continue at the Game Awards on Thursday. At the end of this, it says to be continued, and in fact, it is going to be continued at the Game Awards.
The one thing I will say about this, even with its very brief runtime, I don't know if anyone else in the industry uses color the way Sucker Punch does. Like,
this trailer's gorgeous.
Sucker Punch is so good at
this trailer's gold. The last one was red.
Yeah. But look at the colors of the characters and what they're wearing, and like how it contrasts with the environment, and like it stands out and makes you look at which one is which and who's who and who's ranked what.
The armor and stuff, yeah.
Like they've always done. They did that with Sly. They did it with the Infamous games. They're some of the best in the industry at using color to tell a story and to stand out and grab your eye. They're really good at that. Yeah, they've never been better than they are in this game so far. Like,
I saw Jeff tweeted today that this is going to be one of the longest trailers at the Game Awards. What do you think this means for Ghost of Tsushima as far as like its release date, its platform, stuff like that?
I've been convinced for a very long time that Ghost of Tsushima is a PS5 launch game.
Do you think that at the Game Awards, it may, like, at the end of this trailer, bring up the PlayStation 5 logo for the first time ever?
No.
Because
this trailer and it specifically calls out at the beginning that this is actually recorded from a PS4 Pro.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not talking about that yet.
Okay. I thought maybe just imagine if that happened, though. The trailer finishes and you get the first ever tag out for a PlayStation. Like, the fans would go nuts just hearing whatever the chime is or
Jeff
whatever.
Ain't getting that.
Yeah, that's too big.
He's not getting a PS5 reveal. That's not happening.
Well, it's not a PS5 reveal. It's just a logo.
Essentially what that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, this they're still calling this a PS4 game right now. Okay. It will be on the PS4, obviously, but I think it will be at the very least close enough to the PS5 launch that you're gonna be wanting to wait. Maybe
gonna get a release date? You think?
Maybe.
We should. Like, it's time. Like,
my guess would be you wouldn't get it until E3.
Okay.
Next, it's possible. I'm not gonna say no.
I'd say it's 50-50 whether we get a release date on Ghost of Tsushima. Next up, Babylon's Fall.
I think we might get like a season.
Yeah.
Might get a
like
fall
Q whatever. Yeah.
Q3 2020 or fall 2020 or so. Holiday 2020.
Yep. Next up is Babylon's Fall. This is a platinum game being published by Square Enix.
This one surprises me that it wasn't a Game Awards thing.
We put this on a couple lists over the last 12 months because they showed it a long time ago, kind of, and we haven't. This is the first like in-engine gameplay we've seen of it.
I feel like maybe this is out of nowhere, but like I feel like I don't know. I feel like Jeff has a good platinum relationship, and like I feel
about as good as you can have as an American for sure.
I feel like this was more a surprise that it wouldn't be blown out at the Game Awards rather than Resident Evil.
Yeah,
this feels like a fit for the Game Awards.
This is a lower tier game, as it stands right now. I mean, it could become Game of the Year. Who knows? But
I mean, it sure looks like a platinum game. I mean, all you got to do is watch 5 seconds of this, and you're like, oh, yeah, it's platinum.
That was actually going to be my question: is does Platinum do enough to delineate its games?
I mean, they have
They're all
they
kind
have
of
a house
blurring
style
together.
Yeah, they definitely have a type. That's for sure.
I mean, I look at this, and is it really all that different from Astral Chain? Like, there's a different mechanic, obviously, for combat.
I mean, their differences tend to be kind of little tweaks to how the combat works and the aesthetics of the look of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that a much more aesthetically pleasing look than Astral Chain.
Do they need to diversify, though, do you think, Platinum?
I don't think they do. They are what they... No one else is really doing what they do except
Not anymore.
Except maybe Devil May Cry, and how often do we get one of those?
Yeah, once every 5 years or so.
So, like, I think the critique that a Platinum game is very similar to other Platinum games is true, but considering that they're the only ones who really do that, like, maybe that if they can just make that their thing, I think there's room for them to continue doing that.
I honestly look at
and I say that as someone who is not a huge Platinum fan.
Yeah. I honestly, looking at this, wonder if they withheld debuting this game because it does look so similar to Astral Chain. And they're like, hey, we got these two games. They both look kind of the same. Maybe we need to create a little separation between the two of them.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I would have thought of Astral Chain if you hadn't mentioned it.
Really?
Like, it doesn't.
That's the first thing I thought when I saw this.
I think of Nier and Scalebound. What was that called?
Scalebound.
Scalebound?
Yeah.
I think of those more than that. I mean, are you saying it because there's like a chain here?
There's a chain and just the it's the combat, the art style.
I don't see any comparison to the art style at all.
I think so.
It looks like Dark Souls to me.
Well, I think the environment looks like Dark Souls. I'm just saying, like the colors and the aesthetics of the display more than anything. I don't know. I looked at it. It looks like
Astral Chain has like an anime, almost cell shaded look to it.
I can't see what these characters look like.
Well, yeah, it is very brown. Actually, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Infinity Blade.
I mean, it's also weird that
is that what I've called?
Infinity Blade.
The Unreal mobile game?
Yeah, that was a mobile game. Yeah,
that's what it made
me think. iPad game. Yeah. It was like the first big iPad game or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when I saw it.
Yeah, I think it just you wouldn't have to tell me that's a platinum game. I see it. I'm like, it's like blatant. It's very bizarre. There aren't many studios like that where you can just see it and immediately know that.
Well, most of them work for Nintendo.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Are you excited for Babylon's Fall? No, I'm not.
I mean, I'll probably play it, but
I've been fighting through Astral Chain, so it's like I'm not ready to play another game like that at all.
I mean, that does look better to me than Astral Chain, but like,
I don't know about the mechanics in that yet. As far as like what quirks they have to their combat, I like the chain aesthetic from Astral Chain. Like I like using it in combat and kind of the opportunities it provides to get a little creative. When you're fighting.
Don't like. I mean, if I was gonna play one of the two, I would probably pick Babylon's Fall just because I really don't like the way Astral Chain looks aesthetically. I think visual. I mean, I think it's an impressive achievement technologically on the Switch. I just don't like the anime style to the degree.
It's a little off-putting.
I mean, all Platinum games are a little anime style, but like that one just goes a little too far over the top for me.
Yep. Next up, we finally got the release date for Dreams. It's actually going to come out February 14th of 2020. So Valentine's Day.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, it's I'll say this, watching this trailer, it's pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some impressive stuff going on, even on the early access.
It's hard to believe that people created this stuff inside the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And the flexibility, like all the different genres that they're showing, like, it's pretty impressive. Like, I had kind of just put this, I don't know, I guess I cataloged it in the back of my brain because it just kept being delayed, and I'm like, maybe it's just never coming out.
No, I mean, the early access has been going and going and going for almost the whole year.
Yeah, I know.
They have... People are making really impressive stuff.
Look at this!
I poke my nose into it every once in a while just to see what's on there, and it's really impressive stuff.
It is. This trailer has kind of changed my perspective on Dreams a lot. Like, I got into the beta, but I still haven't really touched it.
I mean, I am useless at making anything, but I play stuff that people make, and it's some of it's really good. This is not a Little Big Planet thing where everything has that same flavor to it.
Where it's all like a platformer.
Kind of the same thing. Yeah, this is people are making wildly disparate.
Because even like the stuff in Little Big Planet where like, hey, I made a pinball machine, like you could still see that it was really a platformer with like the stuff organized in a different way.
The flexibility of this is just, look at that. I mean,
it's crazy,
completely different world.
It's impressive.
And that Wipeout thing they're showing, like, that's pretty good.
That's Wipeout.
That's a pretty solid Wipeout game right there.
I'm
and
hoping,
it can look like that.
I'm hoping there are enough people in getting into the community so that it has enough viable content.
I mean, so far it really seems to be already.
Because I'm not going to create anything.
No, but I think it's, even more so than a lot of games like this, it's going to be worth it to have it to play what people make.
Other people's stuff. Yeah. I probably won't spend my time making anything because it's just like leave it to the people who are going to dedicate the time to learn how to use the tools.
I mean, they have a very robust sharing system where I'm no good with music, but they have a whole library of music and stuff composed by people, things set up to handle, you can make tools for other people to use to cover the parts of games that they don't know how to do very well or feel uncomfortable with, and you can just make that. You're basically, it's like a whole community working together to build out a functional engine in which you can make anything.
Yep.
And so far, I think the most impressive thing about it is it seems to be working.
Yes, it does. It's pretty amazing what people are creating, man.
Honestly, I mean, I'm sure they're waiting till it's a little more established and maybe it's launched and has some stuff. I hope Sony really pushes the hell out of this thing because there's an impressive thing happening here.
There's
that,
like stars could be born.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
like
be honest.
And it doesn't have like a real equivalent. Like this, you can't compare this to like Super Mario Maker.
No.
Like this is not the same idea. Like
I wish Super Mario Maker was like
Right.
that. I would play it a lot more.
like
for sure.
you're unleashing creativity for people in a way that like I don't think I've seen anything else do.
Yep.
So yeah,
Minecraft probably.
a little bit, but you're still sort of kind of trapped in the building block world of Minecraft, whereas this allows you to go outside the lines in a way that
You're not building with bricks.
that almost just doesn't make any sense until you really put your hands into it.
I think it's too much for the Minecraft crowd, though.
Yeah,
I don't see like a bunch of those people coming over.
If you grew up with Minecraft, you're probably
Ready to graduate.
About ready to. I mean, I'm sure my niece can do something interesting with this.
Oh, sure.
And she's because she's been coding and doing stuff for her. I mean, to her this is probably elementary stuff, but like as soon as you get kind of the tech stuff or the kind of the math out of the way with something like this, and you just let people interact with it and
be creative,
build it and make that kind of interface transparent to them, like you free them up a lot. So.
Yep.
Don't sleep on this one.
Coming
folks.
soon, just a couple of months, February 14th, 2020. Next up, our old buddy Ken Kutaragi reappeared for the State of Play today to celebrate the 25th anniversary.
They let him out of the cell.
Of his own creation. He's aged a lot over the last 10 years or so.
Yeah. Well, he's not a young man, really.
He's not, but the last time we saw him before he was kind of exiled from the PlayStation brand after the PlayStation 3 debacle, he's changed a lot since then. Like, I mean, we all age, obviously, but he seems to have been hit with it a little harder.
Yeah,
Maybe he was just holding his age really well. And
he's
then just,
69.
Is he 69?
So, yeah, that's
he's feeling pretty good then.
nice.
But it was interesting if you could see the subtitles for this, it's not that important, but if you could see him, like, he does say a lot of we and us, and he's still involved.
I like the title they gave him at the beginning. He's like, it's like former honorary chair of game something like that. It was like, wow, that's a lot of qualifiers.
We got to give him something, but we don't want.
Like former honorary? Like,
I mean, he's like the father of PlayStation.
Yeah, but
they
it's
should have just written father of PlayStation.
But if you're in like an honorary whatever, does that expire? Like
at a certain time? Yeah,
like
now you are no longer honorable.
Put former on that. Just make him honorary whatever. It's
that's true.
That's
a good point.
There it was. Sorry, I missed it again. Former honorary something or other, chair of PlayStation brand or something. And it's just like, I don't think the former felt weird to me.
It wasn't an acrimonious split. So I mean, I was just shocked to see him at all. Like, I'm surprised that PlayStation was like, we're gonna swallow our pride here and we're gonna bring him in. Yeah. So it's cool to see him again. Looks like he's doing well. Seems like he's happy, and it's good to see. Next, Untitled Goose Game coming to consoles.
Obvious.
We knew this.
Had to happen.
It had. I mean, you'd be an idiot not to release this for consoles. Yeah. Probably on a lot of people's hot list for Indie Game of the Year, which I think is asinine, but I'm sure some people will rationalize somehow giving it that award. I wouldn't. I think there's so many good indie games this year. This is just the funniest indie game of.
Yeah, this is the meme
indie
game.
Yeah.
And I liked it a
fun,
lot.
Yeah. But it's not like a Game of the Year type game.
Not in a world with some of the other releases this year.
It's just not going to get it done. And then the final thing that they showed at the State of Play was Predator Hunting Grounds. It is coming out April 24th on PC and PS4. This trailer seemed to reveal a female Predator. I don't remember seeing that in the prior trailers for it.
No, that's definitely new, and it's really dumb because that's not what female Predators look like, but okay.
Yeah, this one has boobs.
Well, yeah, but like, that's dumb too. But like, there's like a bunch of expanded universe content for Predator stuff, and it's not necessarily canon or whatever. But through most of the existence of the Predator franchise, going back to like the novels and whatever, the female Predators are bigger than the males.
I mean, in the animal kingdom, that's pretty typical.
I mean, these are clearly not mammals, so they shouldn't have boobs. Yeah. And like. They should
just have different organs.
Like the females
basically
are supposed to be much bigger, like arthropods tend to be, like a crab face, whatever. And like if you piss one off, like a pissed off female yautja, that's what they're called, the name of the race, is supposed to be more dangerous than a fully armed male.
Oh,
like
geez.
they're mama bears, basically. They're huge. And they're not supposed to just be like very slim male predators with boobs tacked onto them.
Right,
That's
That's
not
pretty much what's in this game.
Yeah, that's what that. I mean, sexy predator. Okay, like, and believe me, the predator.
You imagine giving her a kiss.
The predator fan community is not pleased because they're it's not canon, but it's established as a certain thing, and now you're changing it for the sake of. We wouldn't want someone to have to play as a girl predator that doesn't make them hot, right? Like it's dumb.
Yeah.
But other than that, this actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks all right. It looks better than I thought.
Yeah,
it was gonna look.
I mean, it kind of honestly, this is kind of coming down to like how much is this gonna cost?
I'm guessing $30.
Yeah, like that's okay.
I think that's
give it a
the
try.
Sweet spot there. Yeah, but any more than that, forget it.
I like that one of the early bonuses is
holiday cheer.
one of the early bonuses is old painless.
Yeah. So what do you think about this state of play, Matt? What's your letter grade for it? And
good.
and now that these have kind of replaced PlayStation's whole promotional cycle for the past for the past 18 months, do you think that this is working?
It's working better than not showing up to E3. I mean, like it's.
But do you think the strategy of, we're going to stop doing events and we're just going to put out these videos, do you think that's working for PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why not.
Still getting the word out.
Yeah. It's better than be going radio silent forever. And it's much cheaper than doing events, so why not?
Yeah. You probably paid like 10 grand to have this video made.
Overall, I'll probably give it like a B. B or a B plus. Like it's a good lineup. Got some new information. I got to see Ghost of Tsushima again.
The J-Bone29 is saying it's been announced as $40. Too much.
40?
Too much.
Yes, that sound. It came out of my throat. It came out of my.
Yeah, people were asking if you made that Predator sound, and yes, it absolutely was Matt. Yep.
I can't really do it now. Like I can only do it. I used to do that because I used to be able to do it louder. If I have more water, I can do it louder. And I used to go sneak up behind Adam Sessler's cube and do it from the corner. It would freak the hell out of him every single time.
That's pretty good.
Remember, the Predator is voiced by the guy who voiced Optimus Prime.
Yeah. One thing I will say about these state of plays is that they completely lack the human touch. And
that's true.
Say what you want about, pre-produced videos being cheaper and reaching just as many people. There is a difference in the human touch. Having humans involved in something, it's just
like they're trying to get the narrator to do. It's like that looks really cool. I'm like, I don't.
No, just shut up, lady.
It's reading from the script here. I know that. Yeah.
But you look at YouTube. That's why all the thumbnails on YouTube have people making goofy faces, because it's been proven over and over again. People are more likely to click on something with a human face. And so I do feel like they've lost some personality through the state of plays, but I think that was a pretty good one, man. That's B+, A-, something like that.
They should bring back Tilda.
Yeah.
The digital host from Tech TV.
But honestly, I wouldn't mind if they brought a host into these just to give them a little bit of personality.
Yeah, I don't know who you'd get to do
now
that,
that
really.
Layden's gone, and their new president isn't going to do it.
I guess you just have Carboni come in or something.
He does everything else. Why not? Yeah.
He did PlayStation for a long time. Right?
Yeah, he did their stage shows and stuff. Yeah. He's been working with them for a while. So there you go, State of Play. Probably the last peep you're going to get from PlayStation for the rest of this year. And maybe for a little bit into next year after the Game Awards.
We get some Ghost of Tsushima on Thursday. But
big trailer for Ghost of Tsushima, and then that'll kind of close the book on PlayStation for 2019. All right, it's time for our trailer of the week. We had so many great trailers in the show. It was kind of hard to find one, but across the weekend, I know we can look at our numbers and we can see that a lot of you guys don't come to SIFTD on the weekends. At least the traffic for us is generally down, and I think that's pretty accurate for most websites. But over the weekend, a bunch of Tekken 7 news broke. They unveiled 3 characters coming to Tekken 7. 2 of them were old characters that are being revived for Tekken 7. But there was one brand new one. And I'm probably going to completely butcher this pronunciation. Fakumron, I think is how you say it, is the new character for Tekken 7 and for Tekken in general. He's a brand new character. He is a Muay Thai master. Get those questions into chat right now. Let's check it out.
I'm number one! I'm number one! นี่อัลฟาประจำตำแหน่งเรียบร้อย
นี่บราโวถึงที่หมายแล้วเริ่มทำการปล่อยเสร็จสิ้น
I will crush you! Let me suck! ยังเหลืออีกกี่คนเนี่ย
So basically, Tekken's Sagat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, he seems a lot bigger in the cutscene than he does
like,
in the actual
He's like 4
gameplay.
feet taller in the cutscene. Then they cut the gameplay and they're the exact same height.
Yeah.
I noticed some people in our chat picked up on that as well. You guys are smart. I knew that already, though. Let's get to some questions before we head off into the night. Let's also thank people for Twitch Prime. Oh, there's a bunch. Ultimate Villain cheered. Thank you. You also subscribe via Twitch Prime. Thank you. I don't want to go too far. Justin Horman, thank you. 30 months, bro. That's freaking awesome. 30-month streak. You the man. And there's my head with the emojis. Thanks for the cheer as well, Justin Horman. What else? Furax75, thank you for Twitch Prime. Thanks for the cheer as well. Magister Kato, thank you for Twitch Prime. So it looks like if you're subscribing now, you're also getting a cheer reward as well. It's insane. Like, Twitch is insane. I get emails every day where they're like, we just added this new thing. Go check it out. It's like, bro, I don't have time to check out all the stuff you're adding. Like, there's supposed to be all these new emotes in here now, too, for, I don't even know. It's crazy. Mega Drive Guy, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Nib Dibbler, thank you. I love your name. It's hilarious. And I think that's it for the end here. All right, let's get to some questions because we are running out of time. Justin Horman, what's the best game announcement reveal you can recall from a game award show? That's tough because, like, all the original award shows...
Most award shows don't do that.
They weren't like this cavalcade of exclusives. I mean, it's
Right.
basically Jeff is just leveraging what he's been doing for a long time into his award show with this.
Yeah, or he's really leveraging an award show as a reason to do a premiere special.
That could be, too.
That's really what this is.
Or you can look at it
the
either
Game
way.
Awards are advertainment. They're
Yeah.
they're there for the commercials. If the commercials and the premieres go away, so do the Game Awards.
Well, it's like the Super Bowl for people who hate football.
I would say that's E3, but this is more like the MTV Movie Awards. Like, no one really cares about the awards, but you're sort of there for the spectacle.
Well, I was just saying, like, people are just showing up to watch the commercials at the Super Bowl if they don't care about football.
Except the commercials are the show
Right.
in this case.
Yeah.
Because I count a trailer as a commercial. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
an
well, it is.
announcement is a
I mean, they're
commercial.
made to advertise the product. So to answer your
nobody's dressed as a
question, the
razor
best
anymore.
game announcement reveal, I mean, it's probably something from the Game Awards because it
Probably.
just didn't happen really.
I mean, they showed that one year they showed Breath of the Wild. They did that like video with Miyamoto playing it with.
That's probably the biggest one
Yeah.
from the Game Awards, where he's just sitting there,
Yeah.
and the TV's playing with
Yeah.
the game, but it's not actually showing you the game full screen.
Yeah, that's probably the most like notable.
Yeah, that's the heaviest, I think, exclusive he's ever had.
Yeah.
For sure. Biggest hitter. Scientike, I believe that's how I say it.
Cinetic?
Or Cinetike, yeah, or Cinetic. Regarding Sony exclusives on PC, I think it's great since if someone hasn't bought the game on the console after a few years after launch, Sony lost the sale on the console and only gained if it sells on PC. But does that affect the appeal of backwards compatibility on PS5 or PS6 when deciding to buy a console if you know you cannot buy it and play the exclusive, or if you know you can? Wait, that doesn't make sense. If you know you cannot buy it and play the exclusives on PC eventually. Oh, meaning pass on buying it and then buy it later for PC. Got it. We kind of discussed this.
Yeah, although he's talking about the next generation changeover from PS5 to PS6. I am never going to want to wait 9 months to a year to play a PlayStation game I want to play. So
yeah, I mean, I could wait 8 or 9 months to play some of them, but there are some no way.
But I'm not waiting
no
that long
way.
for Horizon 3.
No,
you know, like
or the next God of War, or
3
Spider-Man, or whatever. No, like I want to play those right away.
Yeah,
like Days Gone, I could probably survive 8 or 9 months waiting to play that. There's just too many good first-party Sony games to wait for PC for me. I mean,
yeah, you're really. I mean, I think if you're doing that delay thing on PC releases, you're really just aiming for the people who will not play anything on a console.
And to answer his question, though, does it affect the appeal of backwards compatibility? Not really. I don't see how it would influence that at all.
No.
I mean, they're still going to be old games no matter what. Except instead of being 5 months old, maybe they're 12 months old. There's still an old game that you missed that you would like to play eventually. Mm-hmm. If you get around to it. You still want to have the ability to play that game if at all possible. But I don't think releasing them on PC will affect that at all, because it's just, when you start talking about backwards compatibility and stuff like Game Pass, it's a numbers game. It's not that there's this one game there. It's that there are all these games there. And I feel like backwards compatibility is kind of in that same sort of arena, where it's not just about that one thing.
It's more about being able to say, like, oh, I can play all these things.
All these games,
even if you don't ever do that.
Which I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I certainly on the Xbox One, I've played more backwards compatible stuff than I have on probably any other platform ever. Because, like, you know, I played through Red Dead Redemption 1 again. I played the old Gears games. I played Fable. I played, you know, it's got better stuff to go back to. Also, the stuff to go back to is better than what's being put out currently on that platform.
True,
so, you know, do I want to play, you know, another lackluster Crackdown game, or would I rather go back and play Crackdown 1 again?
Yeah.
3 guesses.
Yep. I'm glad that backwards compatibility exists, because I like the concept of it and the idea of it, but I never use it. Like, I'm glad I have a PS3 Fat, but I think I've actually used the backwards compatibility on it like 5 times.
In that case, backwards compatibility is valuable to me, because means I don't have to hook another system up.
Yeah, and that does make a difference.
Game.
Yeah.
Which is actually more useful for game capture than for anything else, like leisure. But for like something like I tell you, I am much more likely to play a backwards compatible game if you make it perform better on the new platform.
Oh, sure.
I mean, certainly it's why I played through Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 again when those went live for backwards compatibility. Like, that makes a huge difference.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think did Johnny Hurricane have a question up here, or maybe it's slower? I'm all discombobulated. Eth Demon, what company developer do you think had the biggest resurgence this gen? I think Square Enix.
Nintendo.
Yeah, not even close.
Wii U to the Switch, like
Think about it. How could you say anyone else? Yeah, I mean, it is night and day. Look, some people don't care about Nintendo's games, so maybe Eth Demon doesn't, and I could get why he'd pick something else.
But even from like an objective sales perspective, it's just a complete turnaround.
It's unreal.
Like, there's no comparison.
Yep, they flipped that flop real quick. Here's Johnny Hurricane. Am I just being cynical for thinking that Resident Evil Resistance is going to end up being a replacement for Mercs in RE3? I know we haven't seen much of anything on RE3, but the RE2 postgame was pretty bleh. Also, Matt, don't know if you care or not, but the female monkeys can only have 2 kids per generation. that female might have already been tapped out.
Well, I've been playing as that one
He said
character.
tapped out.
I've been playing as that one character the entire time, and she did not have any babies. So I don't
Okay.
know where that. What I don't know how that would have happened, but you know.
I just like his use of words there. Tapped out. Yes, I think it is a replacement for Mercs. They're not going to have Mercs and Resistance, I don't think, in the same game. So yeah, I would look at it that way. I mean, you said yourself, the post-game content for RE2 was pretty much crap, and it was. So this is an upgrade to me. I thought Project Resistance was honestly going to be a standalone game that would sell for $30 or $40, and it would just go off into obscurity. This is a much better idea to roll it into Resident Evil 3. I think it could only increase sales of Resident Evil 3, and when you think about it, it makes sense for it to be a part of the Resident Evil package or Resident Evil 3 package because of the character that stars in it. So it's, although apparently it's not really him, he's like a robot or I don't know. Anyway, I think it makes perfect sense, but I do think that, I think the Mercs mode that we've seen in prior Resident Evil games is probably not going to be there. Vincent, did either of you watch the Nintendo Indie World presentation? I know I want to shout out Sports Guy Golf Story sequel. That's pretty cool. And Nintendo was treating Axiom Verge 2 as big, even though it's a year away.
I saw the Axiom Verge 2 trailer. I heard about Sports Story, but I didn't see anything.
So what is it? Golf Story just with all sports instead of
it
just
seems
golf?
like an expanded golf story.
That's cool. Golf Story is a great
Golf
game.
Story is really good.
Absolutely.
Axiom Verge is really
a good game too. And is that a Switch exclusive now? Axiom Verge 2? Timed exclusive, I'm guessing.
It didn't say.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me though.
Wouldn't either. Nintendo's pretty good at money hatting indies. Yeah, I didn't watch the presentation though. I just ended up watching the stuff afterwards. I was too busy doing pre-production for GameFace, unfortunately. Congrim 1, will there be Game of the Year polls for the user's choice on the site? Yes, there absolutely will be. Look for that in the next few days on the site. And you can all go and vote. People always get pissy about it, though, because no matter how many games we include for them to choose from, inevitably, we're going to leave some game off the list that somebody thinks is the Game of the Year. I'm going to do my best. I'm probably going to go to Metacritic and just include, the 25 highest scoring games from 2019. And then you guys can pick from those. If your game is outside the top 25, it's just you that likes the game that much. I hate to break it to you, but that's just the way it is. Bold announcement predictions for the Game Awards. We kind of did that already. I mean, do you have any predictions where you think they're going to blow the doors off on something or anything?
No, I don't think. I mean, the Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay debut is not out of the question.
That would do it. That would be a big deal.
About it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm excited to see Batman finally.
Yeah.
It's been a while since a Batman.
Yeah. Too long.
Been a long time since a good one.
Yeah. Not Cirque. What's your favorite video game holiday tradition? Mine is going to my cousin's house to trade new and old video games. That's cool.
I don't know if I really have any of that. I guess when all the presents are opened and everybody settles in with their games to just sort of play, especially with the handheld. Kids all have the handheld things in their own screens, so everybody's sort of playing games in the same room together. That's nice.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of gaming in my on Christmas really.
The whole
when I was
Christmas
when I was a
holiday-
kid, it used to be more like, oh, everything's in Christmas. We go to my grandma's and do all of that, and then you get home at night.
And all
and
you
eat
do is
dinner,
play your games.
Eat dinner, and then you go upstairs, and it's all warm and nice. You finally get to sit down with whatever Game Gear game I got or whatever and play that. That was nice, but that's been a long time since then.
Yeah. I typically completely disconnect over the holidays because I am so connected the other 50 plus weeks out of the year that I just feel like I need a break to get away from it all. So I don't really go online much. Once I leave on the 17th, I think, the 17th, you won't see me online very much until the next year rolls around. We have a bunch of content that's rolling out on the site and our Patreon while I'm gone, but that's all being set up and pre-scheduled. I don't have to mess with that. It'll all go up on its own when it's supposed to. So I typically disconnect, but if there's any gaming thing I consistently do over the holidays, Christmas Day, we always go to my aunt and uncle's house, and they have 5 kids. And they're all now in their 20s, and they're in college or whatever. But they always get tons of game stuff for the holidays, and they'll either ask my opinion on the stuff that they just got, or sometimes we'll actually go and play. I've told the story before. I had the cousin who was 4, and his hands were this big, and he was playing Battlefield on a PC. And his little hands were so small, he couldn't just leave his hand in a place and play. He had to move his hand. I just remember watching his little hands scurry all over it was one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen. And he just dominated. Like, literally, these grown men on the mic going, you blah, blah, blah. His kid's like 4, and he's just owning all of them. So I get a little bit of gaming on that day, but otherwise, not much. Like, most of my friends who live in central Pennsylvania, they're not big-time gamers. They'll have systems, but when we go there, like, we haven't seen each other for like a year, so we don't really play a lot of games. We just hang out and have a couple beers and stuff like that. Let's see if we got one more. Goji Go. Do you think Sony releasing games on other platforms is something like a Trojan horse stealing company secrets, like a ninja, if you will? No.
No, I don't really understand what that means.
I think he's saying if Sony somehow gets mixed up in the development environments of multi-platform games, that somehow it will discover some kind of trade secrets or something. I don't know.
No,
That's the only way I can read it. All right, since we can't answer that one, we'll answer one more if there is one. Last one. One Supermaster Gamer. Matt, will you go see The Rise of Skywalker?
Have you met me?
I'm going to, actually. I just coordinated with my friend in central Pennsylvania last night. I am going to see it on the day after Christmas.
I have my tickets for Thursday. Had them for
Day 1.
2 months.
Yeah. I can't, like, I'm traveling, and then I get there, and I have stuff, like, the whole first weekend I'm there, and then I got to shop, and then Christmas is Wednesday, and so I'm going to see it with a crew of friends on Thursday. Mm-hmm. And if nothing will be spoiled by then, so I should.
I mean, I'll probably, if I like it, I'll probably see it again a couple times over Christmas with other people.
I may end up seeing it with, like, my wife's side of the family. They don't like to do a lot other than go to movies, so sometimes I end up going to see films that I really have no interest in seeing. Well, this year maybe I'll just be like, hey, I haven't seen Star Wars yet.
No, this year they're going to make you go see Cats.
It might happen.
It's gonna be a Cats Christmas, everybody.
It could happen. All right, we got to put.
I'm gonna end up seeing Cats at some point.
Are you?
I guarantee you, because I know my friends up there, and there's a certain group that will want to see Star Wars, but there's another group that's gonna want to see Cats.
They would have to drag my cold, dead body into the theater before I saw Cats.
I spent one Christmas watching The Spirit. Nothing can be worse than that. I will watch whatever the hell you want because I have been through The Spirit.
Okay. All right, that's it. We're going to put a cap on episode 194. If you guys joined late, a couple notes off the top that I wanted to bring up. First of all, if you have been a patron through the year and you have not got all your Patreon rewards, like your stickers or your shirt, send me a DM either on Patreon or through SIFTD at Shane, and we will get that stuff out to you. Patreon system for dispersing that stuff is abysmal. I've been doing the best I can, but I'm sure a few of you slipped through the cracks. We want to get you that stuff, so reach out to me, and we'll make sure that we get it to you. Just one more episode of GameFace left.
Was there a giveaway?
Oh, touche. We do have a giveaway. I'm glad you looked at the rundown.
Well, you mentioned the Patreon rewards, and you said that right around the time you mentioned the giveaway.
That's right. We do. We actually have 2 giveaways for today. One of them's a pretty big deal. So the first one is a Stadia Buddy Pass. So basically, you get Google Stadia for free. Is it 3 months, I think the Buddy Pass is good for?
I don't know.
You get it for 3 months. But here's the thing, people. Don't take part in this if you have a crappy internet connection and you can't use Stadia. I know we always have caveats with these, but we want to make sure that we get this stuff to people who can actually use it and enjoy it. And this Stadia Buddy Pass is a pretty big deal. So we're gonna do, as usual, we're gonna do a quick little quiz, and the first person to get the answer correct into the chat will get it. Don't answer again if you have a crappy internet connection and you're not gonna be able to use Stadia. So for our first giveaway, for the Buddy Pass for Google Stadia, this is actually a double question. Well, it's one question with 2 answers. What are the 2 companies that Sony purchased to build PlayStation Now? Go. Who's going to be first? Got to get to the bottom of the chat here first.
Actually, I only know one of them. I don't remember what the other one was.
Nobody's got it yet. There it is.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
Emperor Dread. God, look, he just barely beat everybody else. Except Justin called it On Dead instead of On Live.
More accurate, really.
Yep, Emperor Dread, you got it, buddy. Send us you can send me a DM. I don't know if you're on SIFTD or not. You can send me a DM there. You can send us a DM here on Twitch.
On Live was the one I forgot.
Yeah, and I'll get the code to you. Okay, we have one more giveaway, and it is for Shadow of the Tomb Raider on PC, the full game.
I'd rather have that than Google Stadia.
Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, can't you play Shadow of the Tomb Raider on Google Stadia?
Yeah, but I'd rather play it on local hardware.
This one will be easy. All right. And again, this is for PC. So if you don't have a gaming PC, don't take the code and go sell it on GOG or something.
What is it, like Steam or?
Yeah, it's a
Steam.
Yeah. So only participate if you're going to play the game. Are you guys ready? All right. First one to get the chat, or get the answer in the chat wins. What, and this is an easy one, what is the first name of Lara's father?
Yeah, I would hope Tomb Raiders 11 already owns the game. Come on.
Who's got it? Now, this is taking so slow, somebody could have Googled it.
George?
John Voight.
John, yeah, that's true. Good reference. Bob Croft. I'd be down for Bob Croft. Nothing yet?
I don't know. They're coming in so fast. Oh, gosh. There's like a ton of them just came up. I mean, there's one. Yeah, it looks like that's the winner. It's actually 2 words, but Lynn Jeff 99 is close enough. Richard Croft. It's actually Richard James Croft, but I'll take just Richard because you guys were struggling. I don't know why it took so long. You have Google, guys. But yeah, that's it. Lynn Jeff 99, you win a PC version of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Merry Christmas.
In the original continuity, his name was Henshingley.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
I just looked it up.
Oh.
So I didn't know his name.
I've always known him as Richard James, so there you go.
It is in the current.
Yeah. So again, send me a DM either here or on SIFTD, whatever works best for you. We'll get the code out to you. Also, a reminder that we're doing the loot box giveaway. We have 6 loot boxes to give away. It's too late now to up your pledge. It didn't look like anybody did up their pledge for it, but whatever. You guys have been along for the ride all year. One thing I will bring up is because we haven't given out a crate for a few months, and these have been stockpiling, we are going to include people who pledged at any point at that amount. So if you pledged 3 months ago at that amount and then you couldn't keep that pledge and you dropped it or whatever, you're still going to be eligible for one of these crates. So anybody who pledged at that level for the last 3 months will be eligible. And I'll be putting up a separate video handing those out probably in the next few days. So I think that's it. It's our last regular episode of GameFace for 2019. Hope you had a good time. We'll be back next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for our Game of the Year awards and a wrap-up of the Game Awards. We'll see you then. Have a good night. GameFace is up and out.